On Freedom 1400 AM. Ben Shapiro brings his unique perspective from 6 to 7 p.m.
But the left opposes that stuff.
Followed by Guy Benson's insightful analysis from 7 to 10 p.m.
Sometimes it might behoove you to listen.
It's a lineup that's sure to keep you entertained and informed. Conservative talk for Tucson is Freedom 1400 AM. Wildcats Radio 1290 is everywhere. Wildcats fans can listen to us everywhere on our all-new app.
Now available from the Google Play Store and the App Store for iPhone users.
The home of the Wildcats is everywhere. This is Wildcats Radio 1290.
This is Jim Rome with your Rome Report. Buffalo getting hammered by Baltimore, and we should have seen that coming because right when that game started, the first play from scrimmage, we saw the Bills not lay a single finger on a 250-pound future Hall of Fame running back, Derrick Henry. You would have thought they would have spent the better part of the week trying to figure out how to knock Derrick Henry to the ground, not how to let him run 87 yards untouched into the end zone on the very first play. I mean, this dude was running away from people. Now, I know the point was made quite a bit last night on the X platform, but it's worth saying here again. Derrick Henry is incredible. This dude is a monster still yet. It's a good reason why they call this guy the king, and nobody is coming for that crown anytime soon. He finishes with 24 carries, 199 yards, a touchdown, and he is the NFL's leading rusher after 4 weeks. Too bad Jerry Jones couldn't afford him. Am I right, Cowboy fan?
All right, gentlemen, this is Emmitt Smith on behalf of Depend, and I've got the perfect play. Run straight to your doctor's office for a life-changing catch. Because when prostate cancer is caught early, it's up to 99% treatable, and one blood test might be all it takes. And now through November, Depend is donating to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for select purchases. Talk about a great play.
From September 1st to November 30th, Depend is donating 40 cents to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for Depend Shield Guards, Real Fit products purchased in the U.S. up to a maximum of $300,000 void in Mississippi.
The holidays are coming, and Lowe's is here to help you get ready. Right now, get up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, save an additional $75 on select cooking appliances, $899 or more. And get even more of an interior refresh with up to 40% off select vanities and free delivery. Because Lowe's knows holiday hosting. Valid through 10/16 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Appliance savings vary based on purchase amount. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com for details.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Wilson out of the shotgun. He'll take the snap. He's back to throw. Here comes the rush. He gets away. He throws. It's knocked away, incomplete. Tacario Davis does it again, and the Cats take over the football.
That's a big-time stop by Arizona. Tacario Davis, again, one of the best corners in the country, showing why people think that of him. Beautiful man-to-man coverage that time.
For the third time tonight, the Wildcats turn away the Utes on fourth down and take over the football.
And they did it 4 times total in that ball game on Saturday night. And today, Tacario Davis named the Pac-12. More money in the jar there. Big 12 Conference Player of the Week on the defensive side of the ball for his 5 pass deflections, his 7 tackles in the ball game. Congratulations to Tacario Davis, an outstanding performance in that 23-10 win. We'll dive into it. I kind of gave you my thoughts on it Saturday night, and I'll reiterate those today. I did not give it an A-plus performance. I gave it an A-minus performance for Tacario Davis. Excellent job in the red zone, batting down passes in the end zone, key fourth down denials to get the Wildcats defense off the field. But at the same time, I would have liked to have seen better coverage between the 20s against, arguably what is a great player. Let's not kid ourselves. Dorian Singer might be, if not the best wide receiver in the Pac-12 again. If not one of the best wide receivers in the Big 12, he's pretty close, and they went at it. Dorian won some, as you would imagine. Any great receiver is going to win some. And then, like you saw, our guy, Tacario Davis, won some as well. Still would like to see him be a little bit better between the 20s with some of those coverages, and I think that'll come as he continues to go. Thought he had a chance for an interception that he did not get. Thought he had a chance late. There was one late ball to Dorian. I thought he could have been a little bit more aggressive to either get a potential interception or bat down another pass that went deep. But overall, definitely an A- performance and worthy of being the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week for Tacario Davis. Guys, your thoughts on the win, 23-10 in Salt Lake City.
Well, really quick, I think 3 phases is thrown around a lot, right? And if you look at the game, I mean, Arizona won because they stopped Utah on 4th down twice inside the red zone in the first quarter, right? I mean, that was a huge part of it. But in addition, after that first stop, it was first on the 8-yard line, I believe. They drove it all the way down the field, and you talk about special teams, when you've got a guy like Tyler Loop who can kick 53-yarders, that's just automatic points on the board. Those pass breakups, I think, were the biggest key to me to winning that game, but I can't point to the offense, the defense, or the special teams as being the reason why Arizona won that game in Salt Lake City. All 3 phases of the game, they really took it to Utah, and the biggest takeaway I heard, especially you guys talking post-game, was I think it was Glenn mentioned that Utah kind of came into that game thinking they were going to bully Arizona. They were going to out-physical. We're going to come up here and punch you in the mouth. You're going to stop wanting to play, and then we're just going to walk away with this one. After that didn't happen, they kind of didn't really know what they were doing. I think Arizona was really in control of the physicality from the start, from the get-go, at least not backing down to what we've always known that Utes program to bring a lot of physicality on both sides of the ball. So just really, really impressed with all 3 phases. How about you, Dragon Ball?
I think that the big thing that I'm looking at right now is just on the offensive side of the ball in relation to the offensive line in 2 different categories. One, there was a lot of pressure getting up the middle there for Noah Fifita. And there's, I mean, we all remember I think we all collectively held our breath on the low shot he took in the 4th quarter against Devin when he got the deep pass to Devin Hyatt. But nonetheless, there's a lot of pressure up the middle of the field right now for the Arizona offensive line. They really have to go ahead and start being able to communicate to kind of differentiate where the rushes are coming from, especially on those peel backs where the defensive end, defensive tackle are coming around the back end to try and get up the middle and get after Noah, kind of get him off center. The other part of it is I would really prefer to see Noah do a little bit more step backs into the pocket. We've seen in the offense so far throughout that whole game, I for some reason, once it got to the second quarter, I started doing some mental counts. And in shotgun, even in shotgun, DK, he's doing 2-step drops. 2-step drops after it gets out from under center on a play action, 2-step drop in the shotgun. It's very quick. And every time he does that, that's when he tends to get a little bit happy in that pocket because the pass rushes come in there very quickly.
So you want to see deeper drops?
I want to see a bit of a deeper drop for Noah just for the sake of the fact that he is a good pocket passer. I don't want people to assume by watching Noah when he does all this running around that, oh, well, that's what happens when you got a short quarterback. He can't be in the pocket. He can't see down the field. It's got nothing to do with him being short. It's got everything to do with the fact that he doesn't have a deep enough pocket to settle himself in. And when you get a quarterback, whether it's moving down the field or in the pocket, you put yourself in position for very, very bad circumstance. Turnovers is the big thing. The low hits that he was taking in that pocket were very concerning. And anytime you have to go ahead and reset, re-put that arm back into ready position to then cock back and throw the football, DK, what happens when a defensive end comes out from behind and sees him reset that arm?
Yeah.
Well, he's already got it in the chest. I don't even need to tackle. I just need to smack the ball out. If we can get Noah to just sit in the pocket, not have to readjust, reposition, and reload, he can find the guys down the field. Get him a little bit deeper in that pocket, a little bit of 5-step, maybe 7-step if you really have a lot of field to work with once you're past the 50. But these 2-step drops are not doing him any favors in trying to get him set to really go through his progression because it's a lot of just street yard football right now with Noah when he does the 2-steps and he has to suddenly, oh, there's a guy coming to my left, there's a guy coming to my right. The offensive line has a little bit to do with that just because I think we're still looking for that consistency from that group of 5 right now. But the other part is let's get Noah a little bit deeper so he has time to really see where his big players are going in the progressions.
All right, interesting. Deeper drop there for Noah Fafita, says David Amata. 520-848-1290. What do you think about that? Do you believe that that's something that will help out Noah if he can get deeper in the pocket? Because, again, like David said, and I concur, I mean, he is a kid that likes to stand back there and survey, and maybe that gives him a little bit better of an opportunity to see the routes and go through his progressions more comfortably before he has to decide whether or not to escape out and give himself some more time outside the pocket for sure. But we'll have to see if that kind of is something that they continue to do with the shorter drops, or maybe if they do give him some more room on those. Great information and great stuff there. Indeed, thoughts there, David Amata. Also want to obviously get into some of the things that we saw in terms of changes, and especially on the defensive side. There were three major changes we saw. Emmanuel Carnley got the start at one of the cornerback positions where we had seen Marquise Groves-Killebrew getting one of those boundary cornerback starts, but they went with Emmanuel Carnley, who they like to call Manny. And I thought Manny played a very good ball game out there. Was aggressive in the running game, which is what you like to see, and got his hands as well. I think he had 2 passes broken up of the 8 that the Wildcats had in the game. The other 2 major changes were on the defensive line. Stanley Tafo'o got a start on the interior defensive tackle, as well as they had also down there Isaiah Johnson got a start. Neither one of those 2 had started either of the first 3 games of the season, and I like that. I thought that solidified things. We still saw a lot of the rotations that we had seen with them kind of shuttling guys in and out. But I liked those 2 guys in there solidifying things. Isaiah Johnson, who didn't play a lot last year, but kind of got a little bit of a taste of it and is now starting to, again, as you see guys progress. I believe he's a redshirt sophomore, or maybe a true sophomore. He's already had 2 sacks this season. So that's a guy. He's big. He's big from the tackle position, but he's big. He can also put pressure on the quarterback, and that's what you like to see, I think, from some of those interior guys. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Keon Bars, who we saw here a couple of years ago in that respect, when Keon, they kind of unleashed him a little bit, and he was able to go out there and create some havoc in the offensive backfield. So I liked that move there to get Isaiah Johnson, and we saw some. We had said on Friday night that there were some guys that didn't play, but after further review, they actually did get on the field. You can't. It's funny. You can't trust the participation report. If you can't trust the participation report in a Power 5 game, when they said a bunch of guys didn't play, but they actually did. Now we know why we can't figure out whether Jacory Grosky-Merritt is eligible, because if the Power 5 folks can't get right who's in the game, how are you going to expect a group of 5 or lower folks to try to get right who's in games? They had Lance Kennelly not playing in that game. He played. They had Sterling Lane not playing in that game. He played. So we did get a nice rotation as well on those defensive linemen in and out of the game. But that starting core there, with you had Trey Smith and Taitai Uiagalelei on the outside, and then Isaiah Johnson and Stanley Tafo'o on the inside. I thought that was a good foursome down front for the Arizona Wildcats, and kind of solidified things. They probably weren't going to run much with that freshman quarterback, even though he'd had some success with it in some of the earlier games. But they really controlled not only that, but the main running game as well. Yeah, Micah Bernard got 91 yards, but man, it didn't seem like it. I mean, I looked at that I looked at the 91 after the game, and I was like, man, he got that many? Because his longest run was 13. He never really got off, and I thought that was key also defensively for the Arizona Wildcats. And then, of course, what we've been talking about throughout camp and throughout the early part of this season is you've got to get the tight end involved in this offense, and we finally saw that from a Keon Burnett, who appeared to be healthy, maybe as healthy as he's been through these first few ball games. I still want to see more seam routes, more down the seams kind of passes with him, more stuff over the middle with him in space, maybe allowing him to take advantage of that athleticism and get running a little bit. But man, he's killer. We've seen, I think, of the 3 catches that come to mind for him, 2 of them have been on the sideline where he has made where he's shown great hands and great ability to get his feet down. We go back to the one in New Mexico and the one on Saturday night.
I got that one right here. You want to hear it?
Let's hear that, yes.
Takes the snap, steps back to throw, time, pumps, throws, and, did he hang on? I think he did. I think the catch is good at the 32-yard line. The officials say yes. First down, Arizona at the 31.
It's Keelan Burnett.
Burnett made a spectacular catch, got a foot down.
That was a great throw.
Yeah, it was a really
over the
great
top
throw.
of two defenders who had to bracket it, and then we had a third defender coming in from the sideline, came off his man. But yeah, that was a great catch right there.
I mean, you knew he had it because Lamont was laughing. Anytime Lamont's laughing,
every time he giggles, it's a good thing.
It's a good play for sure. But yeah, so we've seen him make two dynamic catches on near the sideline, and then obviously the touchdown there for him to kind of know his presence there and get his feet in there. But that's what we were anticipating we would get because that's what he showed in in fall camp. Was the ability to get open. Now I want to see them get him in some situations in the middle of the field where we can now see him have a chance to run with the ball and turn some of those 5-10 yard passes into 15-20 yard gains.
Well, not only that, but you want to go ahead and get a situation where if the linebackers and safeties have to account for a tight end, which is a big body right there in the middle of the field, guess what? Safety's starting to drop down. I got some guys that can run down the field and go ahead and get by somebody, and that's going to be the plays that we have been expecting to see from the Arizona offense right now. And the other part of that also is we got to get a little bit of that consistency right now with that running game, and we finally got it a little bit with that contest against Utah. I mean, you got two guys that ran for over 70 yards in that game, in Conley and Riscano. That some of the oars there are starting to really paddle that boat down the river right now. And if you can get all those things to accommodate, then yeah, we'll finally start seeing those 35, 40-point games that fans were expecting to see. But again, new coaching staff, new offensive philosophy. Let's work our way towards there slowly.
Look, a 13-point win on the road against a top 10 team that hadn't won a game there since 2015, was it, guys? Arizona hadn't won, and they only played like 3 times since then. But I would love to see 37 points. I would also much rather see a 10-point low-scoring game on the road against a top 10 team, especially with the physicality that the Utes have been always bring. And that's a very good football team that Arizona beat on Saturday.
All right, we'll dive into more of that coming up a little bit later. 520-848-1290. We'll talk some football with Jordan Ham from Sports 360 AZ coming up at around 5:20 today. Straight ahead, though, it was a good weekend for Arizona women's cross country. Lydia Russell, who is on the triathlon team. A lot of the triathletes are running for the cross country team this year on the women's side, and Lydia got the win on this past weekend at the Dave Murray Invitational. We'll chat with her about that victory. It's DK on the Sports Tip. Cricket is getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet
This report
Center,
is sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together, sponsored by O'Reilly Chevrolet. Grant Road east of Country Club. Collision reported on Grant east of Country Club, and also a construction zone on Grant Road slowing you down east of Country Club to east of Alvernon Way. Valencia east of I-10 at Littletown, traffic signals malfunctioning. 105 tomorrow, around 102 the rest of the week, and 104 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
What do you do after celebrating 100 years in Tucson serving the community? Well, you get up the next morning and continue to do things that got you to the next 100 years.
O'Reilly Chevrolet.
Tune into Wildcats Radio 1290 weekly for Brett Brennan's football press conference, where you can catch up on all things Arizona football this season. Sponsored by Coors Light. Choose chill. Official corporate sponsor of Arizona Athletics.
Hi, you know me, Scott Lehman from ScottSaysYes.com. Check out this month's Wildcats Radio 1290 Community Calendar powered by Premier Auto Center.
Visit the Wildcats Radio 1290 Community Calendar at wildcatsradio1290.com to find out what community events are coming up in the Tucson area. You can also find Wildcats Radio 1290 events, upcoming sporting events, and more. Get the details and get involved with our community at wildcatsradio1290.com.
Go to ScottSaysYes.com today.
Hey, Wildcat fans, Arizona football is here. Catch head coach Brent Brennan as the Wildcats enter their inaugural season of the Big 12 Conference. We need you to be part of the action, filling the stands and cheering on Arizona. Secure your seats for all 7 home games with season tickets, or pick the plan that is best for you by calling the ticket office at 520-621-2287 or visiting ArizonaWildcats.com/FB. Lock in your tickets today. We'll see you at Arizona Stadium. Bear down. Go Cats.
Hey homeowners, are you ready to chill out and go green? Goodfellas Air Conditioning can help. Introducing our latest lineup of energy-efficient systems featuring the new R32 refrigerant. It's cooler, greener, and better for the planet. You'll enjoy lower energy bills and a smaller carbon footprint. Not a fan of change? Goodfellas has a surplus of reliable R410 systems available. Unsure about what system you have or have questions? Give us a call for a free inspection. Goodfellas Air Conditioning, keeping it cool, keeping it green, and always keeping you comfortable.
DK on the Sports Tip, 3 to 6 weekdays.
It's like you got one of those 250 horsepower engines.
I think 390, 360.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Holy mackerel. What do you got?
It's a Hemi 5.7.
Are you out there street racing?
So here's the headline. Cricket, famous for traffic reports, crashes her car going 115 on Speedway. Probably not the best headline. So,
yeah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you're not jumping over anything like
the Dukes of Hazzard,
right?
No, I want to though. It's epic.
Wildcats Radio 1290.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now. I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PARTY to get up to a $5 per gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PARTY to get up to a $5 per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PARTY.
This is Jim Rome with a Sports Minute, sponsored by WeatherGuard Truck and Van Equipment. They're just as driven as the hardworking pros they serve. Right when you think that the Jets are back on track, we see that hideous slop fest in the Meadowlands yesterday. And Robert Receipts, my dude, that loss was uglier than just the conditions. You can't blame it on that. That Jet loss was atrocious. I'm Jim Rome.
Hey, sports fans, if you're not calling John Anthony, you're simply missing out. To prove it, I'm releasing your Monday Night Report absolutely free on recorded message line. 1-800-244-5506. Seattle-Detroit tonight's going to be a monster game, and I've got the side and the total. Seattle-Detroit confirmed analysis and special props. That's 5 big plays. John Anthony has you covered. I love to sweep the board. Call now to hear the free on recorded message. 1-800-244-5506. Information wins. John Anthony Sports #1 against the spread. Call 1-800-244-5506. You want information? I've got it. Seattle-Detroit plus special prop action. I love to go 5-0 this season free. 1-800-244-5506. That's 1-800-244-5506. Or go to johnanthonysports.com.
Sponsored by JFSR Group.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. You can call us at that number. You can text us at that number. We'll update you on what's happening in Atlanta. It is the bottom of the 7th. The Braves lead the Mets by a score of 1-0. And the Diamondbacks need the Mets to win this game in order to get into the Major League Baseball postseason as the 6th and final wild card. All right, let's talk some Arizona women's cross country. The Dave Murray Invitational was this past Saturday. Normally it's on a Friday, but they ran it on a weekend this year. And on the women's side, the winner of the race was none other than Arizona's Lydia Russell. And Lydia joins us now. Lydia, congratulations on your victory. Now, have you ever won a cross-country race in college, or was that a first for you?
No, this was actually my first real cross country race in college.
So this was your first race and your first win?
Yes, I haven't done a real cross country race since high school. So.
Wow. So tell me how you attacked that, and were you surprised to kind of be in the position to win as you were coming down the stretch?
We definitely thought I would be able to win, or at least have a good chance of going for the win. But my plan really was just to go out with the leaders, whoever that might have been, at the start, and just kind of try and stay there. And if I could build throughout the race, just kind of try and do it that way. But I was surprised to find myself alone at the start in the lead. So I just tried to hold my lead. And I didn't know really if there was anyone chasing me down. I know a big thing is to not really look back behind you in a race. So I kept telling myself, don't look back, don't look back. And so when I got to the finish, there was no one behind me.
Now, obviously, Lydia, and we'll kind of get into the dynamic of this year's team, because there's a bunch of you that are from the triathlon team that are also running cross country. You mentioned you had done it in high school. Was that your main sport in high school, cross country, or was it maybe swimming, or what was your main sport?
Yeah, my main sport in high school was running. I swam up until high school and then switched over to running.
So then, in terms of high school, what type of success did you have, cross country and track?
It was a pretty slow build. I wasn't very good when I started out, but cross country, indoor track, and track, all 4 years.
So what did you You mentioned that you were not very good. What would you say, I guess, were the keys to your success to allow you to get to a point where, because I believe you started as a runner at Oregon before now making this transition to triathlon here at Arizona.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I just really enjoyed it. I think a lot of why I was so successful, or how I got to be more successful, was because I didn't really think about specific times or things that I was going for, but I just found places I enjoyed running, trails and stuff that I enjoyed running on, and kind of just really embraced the process and enjoyed the team aspect of it. And then with that just came a lot of dedication to my team and to the process. And I had some coaches who believed in me long before I thought I could even do anything impressive at all. So I think that was a big factor in it as well.
Who were some of those coaches, and what do you think? I mean, what did they say to you about, hey, Lydia, we see this in you, we see that in you, we think you could excel at this?
My high school coach, her name was Venetia Ricketts, and then our track coach was Brandon Schell. That was at Friend Central School just outside of Philadelphia. And they just, I don't know, I think they saw that I had kind of a passion for it, and I enjoyed going the longer distances. I was always kind of enjoying putting the work in. I think they saw the little increments of improvement. They just kind of worked with me and worked with my passion for it.
Lydia Russell is our guest, triathlete at the University of Arizona, who won her first race in cross country this past weekend. Now, kind of tell me about this year's team, because a lot of the triathletes, ladies, are also running on the cross country team. How did that whole scenario come about?
Well, last year was our first year having a triathlon team here at the U of A, and the cross country coach and our coach just kind of have been talking, and other schools have done this that have triathlon teams. University of San Francisco and TCU are the two notable ones that I know where the girls on the triathlon team have run cross country. So I think we kind of saw that, and our coach Wes was interested in having that be a possibility for us too, and it works in our favor because the women's distance team here is pretty small. So I think they were happy to have some girls come in and be able to fill in some of those gaps that they might need because their team isn't the biggest.
So now, obviously, you ran Saturday in the Dave Murray. So you didn't compete in the triathlon event then on Sunday, did you?
No.
Okay. Now, so how does that dynamic work? I mean, are you, because some of the girls obviously did the triathlon, but right now your sport is cross country, so you're not crisscrossing back and forth, or are you?
I am. I'll race in nationals, but
okay.
I've been traveling a lot for other races, so we just decided this weekend it would be better for me to stay in Tucson and get the opportunity to do a cross country race.
Chatting with Lydia Russell, triathlete at the University of Arizona. You've obviously had an opportunity to take triathlon and do some things on the national level. Competed with the United States at the U23s back in 2023. What was that opportunity like for you?
That was amazing. So that was my second time competing at Under 23 Worlds. The first time was in Abu Dhabi in 2022, and then in Spain in 2023, and it'll be in Spain in a couple weeks here for 2024. So that's been really incredible, and it's great to just kind of be able to go out there and see where I measure up against some of the best athletes in the world.
Tell me about Abu Dhabi, both running and if you got a chance to experience the country.
Yeah, it was incredible. I didn't get to see a whole lot of the country, but we did go to one of the pretty famous mosques in the city, which was really cool. We had to cover our heads and stuff like that. So that was a really cool aspect of it, was to get to experience a whole other culture. But yeah, I mean, it was beautiful and everything was set up for us so nicely.
Are the buildings there as incredible in terms of the architecture as they say they are?
Some of the ones we were kind of like around the Formula One track and stuff like that. So that's a little more built up and modernized. There's like a NYU Abu Dhabi campus. So it was honestly like relatively similar to here, but I mean, it was super cool because there's a huge Formula One track, and we didn't get to race on the Formula One track, but sometimes they do the race on there as well.
We're chatting with Lydia Russell, U of A triathlete, as well as running cross country this year. Now, obviously, we mentioned you did not get a chance to participate in this weekend's triathlon, but the ladies came out on top. How excited are you for that, for the program to get its first win?
Yeah, I'm so excited about that. They did absolutely amazing. I mean, we knew they would do amazing, but I think they were just like even better than I could have anticipated. I mean, 5 in the top 8 is really incredible, and that's unfortunately we had 2 girls get injured in the race who are 2 of our top athletes, so they weren't able to finish. So without them, and then without the 2 of us who are at cross country, I mean, it's really exciting to think about what we could do if we had the whole team out there. Just like, I think on a good day we could even sweep the top 10
there that you're competing on as well.
Yeah, when I made the decision to come here, that was definitely something I talked with Wes about, that I wanted to be sure I could still prioritize my racing for the U.S. And I think it's been a good dynamic because it's nice to have the NCAA racing alongside. And I think it helps me get something different out of myself when I can race for the team versus just racing for myself.
Chatting with Lydia Russell. She is on the triathlon team as well as cross-country team at the University of Arizona. Okay, I heard you mention you're out of Philly. Okay, I spent a little bit of time at Philadelphia in my life, so I got to ask, where is Lydia Russell's favorite steak sandwich place?
Oh, goodness. I'm from Bryn Mawr, so that's like right next to Villanova, if people are a little bit familiar with the area. So we go to... I think it's called Primo Hoagies.
Primo, yeah, I've heard of Primo Hoagies, yeah.
Yeah, so that's like right down the street from Villanova University, and that's like our go-to because that's pretty close to my house. I'm not like super familiar with a lot of the ones downtown.
There you go. Lydia Russell is our guest. Lydia, obviously the team finished 3rd overall. I want to ask you about this because it's something we talk about a little bit on our show as it relates to cross country and kind of the rise of Northern Arizona as being the dominant distance program in the state of Arizona. And obviously I know you're still relatively new to U of A, coming last year, but what do you see maybe as the reason for that? Why Northern Arizona has been able to extend to such a successful stature with, them being able to win national championships in both the men and the women's side, and why top runners are drawn to that program?
I know several of the girls who run there, and I think, from what I can tell from the outside, part of their philosophy is just kind of slowly developing athletes. So you don't see them like recruiting. Well, you do somewhat, like some of their like young talent really contribute to the team right away. But some of who are their top runners now weren't really contributing as freshmen, but they were strong runners in high school who the coaches then like built up to be some of the best in the NCAA now as like seniors and 5th years. So I think that's just kind of that patience aspect and not wanting to have like the best runners right away, but the best runners in 5 years.
All right, what's your favorite thing about Tucson, Lydia?
the running trails and the coffee shops, I would say.
Ooh, the running trails. You have a trail of choice?
For like single track, like kind of windier trails, I like Sweetwater Preserve. That's my favorite.
Okay. All right. We're watching baseball here right now. You a Phillies fan?
Somewhat, yeah.
You have a favorite Philly?
No.
No.
The
Okay.
Philly Fanatic. That's my favorite.
Oh,
Philly.
there you go. All right. I love it. I love it. I grew up loving the Philly Fanatic myself. My dad was born in Philadelphia, so I spent a lot
nice.
I spent a lot of summers there growing up. Hey, Lydia, we appreciate you taking a few minutes to join us. Congratulations, continued success, and looking forward to the continued growth of this triathlon program, and as well as your endeavors on the cross country side as well.
Yeah, this was great. Thank you so much.
Lydia Russell, senior, University of Arizona, distance runner, triathlete out of Bryn Mawr, suburban Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. All right, it's DK on the Sports Tip. We've got much more coming up for you right now. The Braves got a couple of more runs in the bottom of the seventh. That's not good. They now lead 3-0. We are heading to looks like the top of the eighth inning or the bottom of the eighth inning potentially in Atlanta. So things not looking good for the Diamondbacks, but we'll keep you up to breast on that coming up in the next hour. DK on the Sports Tip. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290. Coming up right now with everything happening in southern Arizona and around the world, none other than David Dragon Balamana.
Wildcats Radio 1290. 2020 Sports.
Well, the Wildcats came away with their first Big 12 win as a member of the conference over former Pac-12 partner in the Utah Utes, thanks to Noah Fafita's 2-touchdown performance and a couple of fourth down stops in the red zone, which Coach Brennan said he was most excited about a certain trait that the team presented.
That was, to me, the most exciting part of that game was the physicality that we displayed on both sides of the ball, right? Because I think we ran for 160, 170 almost, right? 6.9 a carry. No one's done that to them in like 2.5 years, I think. And I think that was exciting for me. And then what our defense, we held them to 84 yards rushing. Like that's always one of the best rushing teams in the country with the quarterback run component. With Wilson, I thought it was just an outstanding effort that way. And the physicality was really something that I was really excited about.
Again, the team now prepares for their Big 12 home opener against Texas Tech. And sad news in the NBA, defensive stopper, one of the great shot blockers in league's history, Dikembe Mutombo has sadly passed away at the age of 58 due to brain cancer. The man known as Mount Mutombo was inducted into the Hall of Fame and served as the NBA's first global ambassador after his career was done, which was most well known as the finger wagging that he would do when he would block a player. Although he got the couple finger wags back from him.
No, not today.
He got a couple of those finger wags back from a couple stars when they managed to climb Mount Mutombo and dunk over the top of him. But we send our thoughts and prayers to his family and friends in this time. And on the NFL side of things, the league saw that the news of the demise of King Henry was greatly exaggerated.
1st and 10, Ravens at their own 13, moving right to left. Pistol formation, Henry the back behind Jackson. Two receivers to the left. Here's a handoff. Henry outside the right hash. 15, 20, 25, 30. There goes Henry. Out to midfield. Buffalo 40. Far sideline 30. Henry to the 20. 15, 10-5. Touchdown Ravens. Derrick Henry on the opening play goes 87 yards, and the Ravens have taken a 6-0 lead. Wow. Boy, you talk about a fast start. Henry went off the right side, just exploded through the line of scrimmage and outran everybody to the end zone. That's unfair at 247 to be able to run past people like that.
Exactly right. It's one thing to get to the second level. It's another thing to outrun everybody at 250 pounds. He was not touched that entire run.
And again, credit to Ryan Radke and Mike Golick on the call you heard here on Wildcats Radio 1290. The Ravens go ahead and knock off the Bills and send them out of the leagues of the unbeaten on Sunday. And that's your Wildcats Radio 2020 update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Collisions reported Alvernon and Broadway Boulevard and Alvernon. Also wreck reported at Craycroft and Broadway and Craycroft. Another collision reported on Grant Road east of Country Club, and road work there as well on Grant Road east of Country Club to east of Alvernon Way. It is busy and it's a struggle to move through. Maybe use FEMA or Glen instead. And for your weather, 105 tomorrow, around 102 for the rest of the week, 104 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. Wish you could save on home insurance? With Allstate, you could easily save and get quality protection. Yep, it's a win-win. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Join David Kelly for Bear Down Fridays this Friday at Illegal Pete's on University from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. as we get ready for the Wildcats to take on Texas Tech at Arizona Stadium this Saturday. Sponsored by Corona for fans of the fine life, an official corporate sponsor of Arizona Athletics.
Get your backyard summer ready with a custom pool from First Choice Pools. A backyard oasis built around you. First Choice is a full-service builder of beautiful in-ground pools and backyard designs for years of staycations. If you want to dive in this summer, now is the time to visit TucsonPoolBuilder.com. First Choice Pools for installs, renovation, remodeling, and repair. Get started today at TucsonPoolBuilders.com. Ask about our 60-day pool. To be summer ready, First Choice is the only choice.
Tucson, remember, 1290 is the one and only home of Arizona football, men's basketball, and baseball. When you're listening to Brian Jeffries call the game, you're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
Donald Trump's back, and he's out for control.
I would have every right to go after them.
Complete control.
I will wield that power very aggressively.
And he has a plan to get it.
Detailed plans for exactly what our movement will do.
It's called Project 2025, a 922-page blueprint to make Donald Trump the most powerful president ever. Overhauling the Department of Justice, giving Trump the unchecked power to seek vengeance, eliminating the Department of Education, and defunding K-12 schools, requiring the government to monitor women's pregnancies, and Trump has also proposed severe cuts to Medicare and Social Security. Those are Donald Trump's plans.
Well, revenge does take time, I will say that. And sometimes revenge can be justified.
He'll take control, we'll pay the price.
I'm Kamala Harris, candidate for president, and I approve this message. Paid for by Harris for President.
This Saturday, your Arizona Wildcats face off against Utah. Kickoff's at 7:15, but the action starts early. Tune in at 2:30 for the local pregame show, followed by full network coverage at 5:30. Don't miss a minute of the action on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Post Move is the only after party for the Arizona basketball Red-Blue game, happening October 4th at Gentle Bands, benefiting Arizona men's basketball. Created and produced by Dust Music Festival, the all-ages event will be hosted by former U of A legend and three-time NBA All-Star Gilbert Arenas, with performances from DJ Z-Trip, Mixmaster Mike of BC Boys fame, and Trackstar the DJ, plus an Arizona memorabilia silent auction and much more. Get your tickets at ArizonaPostMove.com.
KCUB Tucson, a Cumulus media station. We are the sports station that Tucson turns to for all the latest news when it comes to Arizona football, along with Arizona football play-by-play. We are Wildcats Radio 1290. Live from the CNWT.
Wait, what's the CNWT?
Central Northwest Tucson, duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
David Amata.
Hey, that's Dragon Ball to you.
And Cricket, getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Mount Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but three first names, David Scott Kelly.
The season may be at an end for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Top of the ninth in Atlanta. Braves with a 3-0 lead, but the Mets get the first batter in the ninth on. So it is not over until it's over. Let's give you your Diamondbacks download.
Diamondbacks download.
Baseball stuff!
All right, when we last talked to you, the Diamondbacks had won on Thursday night to snap their losing streak and keep things alive. Friday night, they lost. Saturday, they couldn't get any hits. It was a 0-0 game going into the ninth inning, and Justin Martinez started that ninth inning, but Torey Lovullo took him out when our old friend David Peralta was about to step to the plate. Torey went with A.J. Puck, who had been unbelievable until he wasn't.
Puck will look at Peralta come home. And Higashioka swings, hits it in the air, deep to left field. This one gonna go! 2-run homer, Kyle Higashioka. And the Padres have gone in front here in the ninth. And now Lockridge sends one to deep left field. Gurriel is back. It's going to go. First career homer for Brandon Lockridge. And they go back to back. It's 3-0 here in the ninth. 0-1 pitch hit in the air deep down the left field line. Gurriel back to watch. This one going to go. 2-run homer, Donovan Solano. His fourth hit of the night, and the Padres have busted it open with 5 runs here in the ninth.
A.J. Puck, who had not allowed an earned run since August the 2nd, absolutely dominant since coming over from the Miami Marlins, and picked the absolute wrong time to implode the Diamondback season on 9 pitches in the ninth inning. And the season has now officially come to an end as the Atlanta Braves in Game 2 of the doubleheader have shut out the New York Mets 3-0. So the Mets and the Braves clinched the final 2 wild card positions in the National League, and the 89-win Diamondbacks will not have a chance to defend their National League pennant. That is breaking news as we start this 4 o'clock hour. The season is over for the Arizona Diamondbacks after a 3-0 win by the Atlanta Braves in Atlanta over the New York Mets in Game 2. Man, A.J. Puck, who was on my fantasy team last year and just like would implode regularly. They got him at the deadline, and I'm thinking to myself, when he's great, he's great. But man, when he's bad, he can be bad. And just an unbelievable run for him. To see it come to a crashing end on Saturday night was very difficult to watch. But that's what happened. And now the season is over. Let's hear from Torey Lovullo on that ninth inning implosion by A.J. Puck on Saturday.
I did not see what came in the ninth inning. Our best reliever for the past month has been A.J. Puck, and he just made a couple of mistakes and paid for them.
Yep, a couple of mistakes on 9 pitches, and it is all over. Now, this is a very interesting dynamic in that you're going to have 2 celebrations going on at the same ballpark in both clubhouses tonight. How many times does that happen?
Right.
In the game of baseball.
How many times has a game that's number one taken place after the regular season had ended? Friday was the last day of the regular season. These are makeup games from postponements. When was the last time, if ever, 2 teams celebrated on the same field in a game that was played? Because traditionally, this is the spot to break a tie, right? We've seen a lot of those in our lifetimes. Now the whole wild card setup's a little different, DK, but you're right. I don't think I've ever seen 2 locker rooms smiling after one of these after the season end type games.
This was a doubleheader. Game 1, the Braves had an early 3-0 lead. The Mets came charging back in the 8th inning to take a 4-3 lead when Brandon Nimmo would step to the plate.
And Nimmo clocks one to deep right field. White goes back, takes a look, and it's out of here! Brandon Nimmo puts a hammer down with a 2-run homer.
So 6 runs in the 8th inning for the Mets to take a 6-3 lead. Braves would come back and score 4 runs in the bottom of the 8th to take a 7-6 lead. And then Francisco Lindor with a man on in the ninth.
And Lindor gets under one to center field. Harris going back near the wall, and it's out of here. Linsanity again. Francisco Lindor flips the script with a 2-run homer, and the Mets go in front 8-7. Oh, wow.
8-7 into the bottom of the ninth. Edwin Diaz on to shut the door.
2-2. Ground ball. Lindor waits on it. He's got it. And the ball game is over. From 0-5 to OMG. What a ride. The Mets are going to the postseason in 2024. And what an incredible game to clinch with. Down 3-0, up 6-3, down 7-6. Lindor with the home run to put him over the top, and Diaz stretched to the max to close it out, and the Mets win it 8-7.
Howie Rose with the call on SNY, and the Mets win Game 1. The Braves have won Game 2. After that Game 1 win, Francisco Lindor on what he was thinking rounding those bases after that 2-run go-ahead home run.
You were pretty calm rounding the bases. What was going on internally as you did that?
My back hurts. I'm tired. I'm tired. I know how good Atlanta is. But the one thing that I had in my mind was just, thank you, Jesus. Thank God, you know. I knew I got it right away, but there's no reason to celebrate that, go that crazy, you know. I gotta save my energy.
So final 3-0 Braves win Game 2. They are in the postseason. Mets are also in the postseason. Diamondbacks going home. We also have some breaking news right now in Major League Baseball. TMZ is reporting the death of Major League Baseball legend Pete Rose at the age of 83. TMZ saying that the Major League Baseball hit king passed away earlier today at his home in Las Vegas, Nevada. His agent, Ryan Fitterman of Fitterman Sports, confirming the news, saying the family is asking for privacy at this time. One of the greatest players in baseball history, 17 All-Star games, 3-time world champion, 1973 National League MVP, Charlie Hustle, as he was so proudly known in the game of baseball, 4,256 career hits over a 24-year career that saw him play for the Cincinnati Reds, a key member of the Big Red Machine, helped the Philadelphia Phillies win the World Series. I believe that was 1980 that they won that World Series. Also played with the Montreal Expos, and then obviously managed the Cincinnati Reds before he was banned from baseball for gambling on the game in 1989. Again, TMZ reporting the death of Pete Rose today at the age of 83. There was no player, I think, that played the game harder than Pete Rose.
It's really unfortunate, DK, because my lifetime has been swirled with the controversy around betting, because that happened when I was, a kid, just starting to get into baseball. I've never seen a player, you talk about a guy who breaks collarbones in all-star games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going home hard into the catcher, because
Ray
that's how
Fosse.
much the game means to him. Pointing at a player, DK, it's hard to pick a player, maybe Ronnie Lott, right? But somebody who just was so 100% go the whole time. It was all about the competition, all about leaving it all out on the field. I mean, that all-star game event where he, went into, I can't remember the name of the catcher, but he was
Ray
out.
Fosse.
He was out for a couple months after that moment, right?
Yeah,
So
well,
yeah,
it basically ended his career.
There
Yeah.
you go. So
he was
again,
never the same.
Yeah. Dirty things aside, like the idea of just point to a guy who you want to emulate, you want your kids to play like, that's the kind of energy you want them to bring.
Yeah.
The one thing I hoped with Pete, the one thing I hoped once we got through all this stuff with where now we're getting the NFL, the MLB, and all these other associations are actually embracing sports betting. They're actually bringing them in as advertisers to their games. Some of their stadiums are being named after some of these kinds of websites. The one thing I hoped was that we'd eventually move past this this horrible stigma that Pete Rose had on his name because Bud Selig refused to budge on the statement that, no, Pete Rose will never get in the Hall because he bet. Guess what? Paul Hornung got in the Hall of Fame, and he was a guy who was notoriously known for betting, and he bet on his own team to win. It's not like Pete was betting for his team to lose. There was even a motion in Dayton by Ohio legislators to put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. And now that it's finally passed, when Pete Rose has passed away, he will never be able to say in his own living life, I am a baseball Hall of Famer. And that is the biggest crime and tragedy to this whole thing. Shame on the MLB for not finally correcting that mistake.
Pete Rose, the legendary major leaguer, dead today at the age of 83 in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Real quick, DK, I know it's a really sad, thing, regardless of how you feel about Pete Rose. But since you're the broadcaster and the baseball guy, can you give me a score 1 out of 10 on this one?
From 0-5 to OMG.
From 0-5 to OMG. Well, Howie Rose is one of the better guys in the business, so I'll definitely give that a solid 8.5.
Fair enough.
On that, solid 8.5. All right, joining us, the fourth member of our program. Ooh, we get to go to the four shot. We haven't had the four shot in a while. We got everybody in the house today. Cricket joins us. So, Cricket, I don't know if this was last week. We may have just forgotten to get to it, but was the Apple Annie's race, was that this past weekend or the weekend before?
It was the 21st.
Okay, so it was the weekend before. So we never found out how that went because you were like defending champion, right? Going down there to defend your title as it was like what is it, how do you categorize what type of race it is? Is
sack
it
race,
sack
leg
race,
race,
or are your legs tied together?
No.
Or how does that work?
No, it's not a sack
It's just
race.
a sack. What is it?
It's just you just on your 2 feet and just go through the corn maze, and whoever can get through the quickest.
Okay, so you were defending champ. Did you get the title again?
No.
No. What happened?
The K-Gun group, and I feel so bad. I forget her name. I think it's Heidi. She won.
Heidi Alaga?
I think so.
Okay, yeah,
and,
the main anchor there?
They stagger our entries. Like, so one group goes in, and then they wait 2 minutes. The next group goes in. My team actually finished first, but they had we lost by almost 2 minutes. They were behind us, but they started 2 minutes after we did. So
I see.
We were so close. And we're running through the corn maze, and I'm thinking, why aren't they running too? They were following us because we knew where we were going, and we kept running trying to beat them. So we kind of led them out. So I kind of said
so you're the pace setter.
Yeah, I kind of said to my nephew, I'm like, I think, wink, wink, we're going the wrong way. Maybe we should go the other direction. But they won, and their cause was, their charity was Pima Paws for Life, which is an animal shelter here in town.
And what was your guys' cause?
The Tucson Wildlife Center.
Okay, that's right. We've had those folks on our Sunday show, Tucson in Review, before. So what did if you had won, what does Tucson Wildlife Center, what would they get?
They would have got $1,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we got them $100. So
Okay,
everyone
that's
that
not bad.
participated, even if they didn't win, got $100 for their charity.
Still winners, even though you didn't win.
Yes,
and it's all for the causes. And that's the great thing about it. So, well, awesome. I'm sorry to hear you guys didn't win, but next time you'll have to resort to trickeration.
I know.
If you've got people trying to spy your routes and that kind of thing, lead them down the tunnel of hell.
And I was like, why aren't they running? We're running so fast. And I'm like, oh, they're following us out, and they have 2 minutes on us. So,
right.
But I have a secret.
Oh.
Shannon and Buzz, the people had to go in and find them.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
They couldn't make it out?
They couldn't make it out.
Wow.
Yeah, so they had to
So
send
how long do you get to before they send the search crew out for you?
I think it's usually an hour, but before we started, Shannon said to they're teenagers and they call them the corn cops. They know the maze. And so they'll go in to find people that get lost. But she said, hey, listen, if we're not out in 45 minutes, please come get us.
So when they went in there, what are they like? Are they they're not on their knees, gasping for water or anything like that? Or are they just we don't know how to get out of this thing?
Yeah, they have no idea. Those young, fit kids just come running in, hey, we'll help you get out of here. And, of course, Shannon, her personality, she had to sing We Are the Champions coming out of the corn maze. We're all standing there waiting yeah, come on, bring it.
All right, all for a great cause, though. That's the most important thing. All right. Cricket getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio, 1290 traffic and weather together. Some backups westbound on Ahaway at Mission Road. Also some pretty heavy slowdowns on Grant Road, east of Country Club to east of Alvernon Way due to road work. Also a collision reported, Grant, east of Country Club. Other wrecks, Tancaverde and Sabino Canyon, Craycroft and Broadway, and also Alvernon and Broadway. 105 tomorrow, around 102 the rest of the week, and 104 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Sports fans in Tucson can't survive without 1290. In the fall, we bring you Arizona football, the NFL, and the Super Bowl. Then 1290 brings you Arizona men's basketball. And in the spring, Arizona baseball. Wildcats Radio 1290.
Tune in to DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290 Thursday afternoons to compete in the Miller Lite Pigskin Challenge, where you can win money by placing a bet on the right team this football season. More info at wildcatsradio1290.com.
Hey, Wildcat fans, Arizona football is here. Catch head coach Brent Brennan as the Wildcats enter their inaugural season of the Big 12 Conference. We need you to be part of the action, filling the stands and cheering on Arizona. Secure your seats for all 7 home games with season tickets, or pick the plan that is best for you by calling the ticket office at 520-621-2287 or visiting ArizonaWildcats.com/FB. Lock in your tickets today. We'll see you at Arizona Stadium. Bear down. Go Cats!
All right, she's inside. Are you good?
Yeah. It's just, she's my baby girl, you know?
I do, and ceramic coating was a good choice.
She's beautiful.
Yep, I know.
Recon Auto Detailing. Enhance or restore your baby to her former glory with paint recondition, ceramic coating, paint protection, tinting, and more for full protection of your vehicle inside and out. New cars, old cars, we love them all. Recon Auto Detailing, 3829 North Oracle Road, Tucson. ReconDetail.com.
Wildcats Radio 1290 is proud to support your Arizona Wildcat football team as they continue their season with another home game this Saturday at Arizona Stadium.
This week, the Cats take on Texas Tech. Kickoff is scheduled for 8 p.m.
To get your
this
tickets,
week, the Cats
visit
take on Texas Tech. Kickoff is scheduled for 8 p.m.
61 Cats. For more University of Arizona Wildcat football, including a complete schedule and link to buy tickets online, log on to wildcatsradio1290.com.
Is he okay?
Ron, did you get hit on the head?
What? Oh, no. I was just reminiscing.
Here comes a story.
I was 5 or 6. A scruffy little ragamuffin I was.
A scruffy? What are you, Charles Dickens?
Mama just wanted to comfort me.
Mama?
Comfort. It's why we started Alaskan AC, you know?
We know.
I was being a fuss budget. Golly, I was a scoundrel.
Get to the point.
These were the early days at Alaskan AC, see?
See.
It's a fun place to work at Alaskan AC.
Ron.
We don't take ourselves too seriously.
We literally just came up with the new Alaskan AC jingle last month.
What? Who's that? Who's there? Is it you, Mama?
Oh, boy. Yes, Ronnie, it's Mama.
Did your little Ron Bon make you proud?
Every day, dear. Why did I even come to work today?
Because...
It's a fun place to work at Alaskan AC. We don't take ourselves too seriously.
AlaskanAC.com.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Small business owners, we know finishing your to-do list can feel like rowing upstream. But it's a river, a whitewater river, and the only paddles you have are pool noodles. Then when a new to-do pops up, you're like, nope, I'm already rowing upstream with these pool noodle paddles. At Progressive, we don't want to make your day any harder. That's why we make it easy to get personalized discounts with a commercial auto insurance quote online, so your to-do list is smooth sailing. See if you can save on commercial auto insurance in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverages and discounts not available in all states and subject to policy terms and underwriting.
Wildcats fans from coast to coast can bring a little bit of Tucson to themselves wherever they happen to be by streaming 1290 on our website at WildcatsRadio1290.com. The home of the Wildcats is everywhere. This is Wildcats Radio 1290.
I'm Chris Rose with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The Vikings moved to 4-0 as Sam Darnold threw 3 touchdowns in the Vikings' 2-point win at Lambeau Field. The Chiefs also 4-0 after knocking off the Chargers 17-10. Falcons kicker Younghoe Koo hit a 58-yard field goal to beat the Saints 26-24. Baker Mayfield threw 2 more scores, ran for another as the Bucs beat the Eagles 33-16. Bengals got their first win of the year, 34-24 over the Panthers. Jags fall to 0-4 with a 24-20 loss to the Texans. C.J. Stroud threw a game-winning touchdown pass in the final minute. After 2 straight losses, the Niners got back on track with a 30-13 win over the Pats. Jaden Daniels threw for a score, ran for another. Commanders topped the Cards. Washington now 3-1. And Sunday Night Football, Derrick Henry ran for 199, 2 touchdowns as well. The Ravens dominate the Bills 35-10. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Hi, welcome to Staples. Hi, I hear Staples can print everything for my business. Sure can. And the quality is guaranteed? Absolutely. Plus, you'll beat any price quote. Is that right? For sure. How about this one? We'll beat it. Can you print menus, signs, and flyers? Sure can. How about blueprints? No problem. What about red prints? Not a real thing. What if they were? We'd print them. And they'd look amazing.
Now at Staples, print more, save more. Up to $150 off your print purchase. Ends 11/2. Exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for offer details and staples.com/price match for in-store price match guarantee.
All right, gentlemen. This is Emmett Smith on behalf of Depend, and I've got the perfect play. Run straight to your doctor's office for a life-changing catch. Because when prostate cancer is caught early, it's up to 99% treatable. And one blood test might be all it takes. And now through November, Depend is donating to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for select purchases. Talk about a great play.
From September 1st to November 30th, Depend is donating 40 cents to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for Depend Shield Guards RealFit products purchased in the U.S. up to a maximum of $300,000 void in Mississippi.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Everybody on their feet here in Cincinnati and a worldwide television audience watching these moments tonight here at Riverfront Stadium. 2-1 pitch from Schaub into left center. There it is. Rose has eclipsed Cobb. That's number 4,192.
Pete Rose, Major League Baseball hit king, dead today at the age of 83. We'll take your calls if you want to share memories of watching the great Pete Rose. 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. Number 1 still all-time in career base hits with 4,256. He and Ty Cobb, the only players in Major League Baseball history to have over 4,000 hits in a career.
You talk about unbreakable records, guys. I mean, I imagine somebody will score 101 points in a basketball game at some point. Like, I imagine that's going to happen. Kobe got 80 3/4, right? The idea of having over 4,000 hits in today's day and age, when you see how many guys platoon, see how many guys miss games, they don't play every single inning, all that stuff. That era of baseball is over, DK.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, getting to 300 wins for pitchers, that might never happen again. 4,000 hits. What would it take for somebody to get 4,000 hits in modern Major League Baseball?
A long career of playing pretty much like you said every day. I mean, you look down this list of his first, say, 20 seasons. I mean, there was his second year, he played 136 games. Every season after that, it was no less than 148 of a 162-game schedule, right down to his year 42 when he played 151 I mean, that's what you need. That's what has to happen. First of all, you got to be good. You got to be able to get the hits like he did, have multiple 200-plus hit seasons. I mean, my gosh. I mean, just looking at that, he's probably got at least 10 200-hit-plus seasons.
The only guy I ever saw that I thought, man, if this guy would have started in Major Leagues when he was 18 is Ichiro. Because that guy was just printed singles. Like, I mean, it seemed like he led the majors in total hits every single year he played, but he didn't start playing until he was 29, guys. So it's got to be like a Ken Griffey Jr. situation where you come up as a 19-year-old and never miss a game for 22 years.
His first big league season was at 22 in 1963. His last was at 45 in 1986. So, I mean, that's a 24-year career. So you got to play a lot. You got to hit a lot. You got to be in the lineup pretty much every night. I mean, there's a bunch of, you look at these, there's a bunch of 162s and 163s on this ledger. That was a guy that was in the lineup every single night to be able to do what he did. And again, the numbers are just stunning when you talk about just of the modern era now. I mean, guys, like when we talk about our generation most recently, I mean, Derek Jeter is the only guy that's even come close. He finished his career with 3,465 hits. He's sixth all-time behind just absolute legends, Rose, Cobb, Hank Aaron, Stan Musial, Tris Speaker, and then Jeter's the first guy that's played in this century that's on that list. And then you have to go down to find Albert Pujols to find another guy. And in Albert Pujols, I mean, again, the longevity was there, but he wasn't a guy that you thought of like in terms of a lot of hits. He was more of a power guy.
Yeah, a lot of times he didn't get on base because he was trying to hit it in the second deck, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Guys, there's only 4 active players with more than 2,000 hits. Mr. Goldschmidt, he's got 2,050.
Paul Goldschmidt, who's likely going to be a free agent.
2,056. McCutcheon's got 2,152. Altuve's got 2,232, and the leader currently active players is Freddie Freeman, and he's like 35, 36, right? He's got 2,200 as well. So there's only 4 guys over 2,000, and none of them are over 2,300. That's how far they are away even from 3,000 hits.
And to put that in perspective, when you talk about the 3,000 hit mark, the most recent one to ever break that mark was Miguel Cabrera in 2022, and he is still at 3,174.
Yeah,
he would still need to hit over 1,100 to even get into potential to tie with Pete Rose.
Yeah.
And put it in further perspective, even among the greatest hitters in baseball's history, think of a guy like Ted Williams is one that always comes up. It's like, oh, Ted Williams, the greatest hitter that's ever hit. Ted Williams never even broke the 3,000 mark.
Nope.
And you got Stan Demand Mutual, 3,600.
Almost have to have some wheels, right? Because you're talking about legging out a lot of singles.
Yeah.
Beating the ball to first base is where a lot of those hits are going to come from. So if you don't have wheels, if you can't outrun the ball to first on occasion, you're not even going to be in that conversation.
No.
I mean, many people think Tony Gwynn, obviously the biggest hitter, the best hitter of this generation.
Best hand-eye coordination I think I ever saw.
Yeah, he's on that 3,000 hit list. It's, again, there's only, 33 guys
33
right
guys
now.
that
33 guys in the history of the game
hit more than
who have been able to get over 3,000 hits and 2 over 4,000. And one of those gentlemen passed away today in Pete Rose. So we want to hear from you on that. 520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. You can call us at that number. You can text us at that number. The Diamondbacks season has come to an end as the D-backs eliminated with wins today by the New York Mets in Game 1 of the doubleheader in Atlanta, and then the Atlanta Braves in Game 2. Yeah, it didn't quite happen the way we wanted it. Yeah. Hoping to get those Mets another win.
I have to go ahead and I promised my dad if they get in the playoffs, I was going to get him a Mets Grimace shirt.
Really?
Because the Mets in the Grimace era, I don't know if you know, they're at the 64% win percentage in the Grimace era after they had Grimace throw out the first pitch. So I've got to get him a Mets Grimace shirt now as a promise that I made to him.
Oh,
One last thing, though, I will also mention with Pete Rose. The guy was also a very good manager. He was a very good manager. In the era that he coached in, I feel that he was done an injustice because in today's era of baseball, his teams would be playoff teams.
There's a separation between people who like something, love something, and are infatuated about something.
Yes.
And you could tell just by the way that Pete played the game that he woke up in the middle of the night thinking about what to do when there's a guy on first and second and you have the infield pulled in. Like he would solve baseball equations. That's just the kind of mind. If you're so infatuated by the game. So it doesn't surprise me when guys like that become good managers.
And for anybody who's ever thought about the 1990 World Series Cincinnati Reds, I know Lou Piniella was the manager. That team had Pete Rose's handprint all over it. Every single one of those guys learned how to play the game of baseball because of Pete Rose tutelage going into that season.
All right. Again, Pete Rose dead today at the age of 83. We want to hear from you on that. 520-848-1290. You can call us. You can text us. Any of that. In fact, head on over to our app. The app, it slaps, Wildcats Radio 1290. You can interact with us on our app in a number of different ways. You can text us messages through the app. You can send us audio messages through the app. You can send us video messages through the app. And it's all right there on the front page for you to navigate if you want to make a video of yourself talking about the Arizona Wildcat football team. If you want to make a video of yourself talking about memories of Pete Rose. I saw Pete Rose obviously play on TV when he was with the Big Red Machine. He played the majority of his the first part of his career, I believe 16 seasons in Cincinnati. But in terms of seeing him in person, for me, as I was chatting with Lydia Russell, the triathlete from the University of Arizona who's from the Philadelphia area. For me, it was when I would go to Philadelphia in the summertime, and we would go down to the vet towards, we're talking about his late 30s, early 40s. Those were the Pete Rose years that I remember when he was playing on those great Phillies teams of the late 1970s and late. He was still, he had a little bit of a beer belly, but he could still play. In his late 30s. Think about that.
I don't mean that disrespectfully. They drank beer and smoked cigarettes during each innings changeover, didn't they?
700. At 38 years old, 700. He had 3 700-plus plate appearance seasons after the age of 38. Just some astonishing numbers for Pete Rose. But those were some great teams in the late 70s, early 80s. In Philadelphia with Greg the Bull Lazinski and Mike Schmidt and Steve Carlton, Larry Boa, Bake McBride, Gary Maddox. Those. I remember sitting on the porch listening to those games and going down to the vet in the summertime.
He had how many 700 at-bat seasons after 36?
3.
Okay, so this year,
after
guys.
36, he had one. So age 36, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
We just talked about how hard it's going to be for that record. Anything but even close to 4,000. This season, guys, the most at-bats by any major league player was Duran, and he had 671. He didn't even break 700.
Right. Now these are plate appearances. So that's 700 plate appearances. That includes walks.
Right. But these are at-bats. The most at-bats.
His most at-bats he ever had, he was 655 plus. Was what you're looking for in terms of at-bats is the number there. Yeah, but again, just unbelievable statistics and longevity and being in the lineup every day. That's what it's all about, or at least that's what it was about. Back in the 70s and 80s, those guys that played every day.
I get the stigma because guess what, guys? It wasn't baseball, it was boxing, right? And the horse racing. Horse racing and boxing were the two biggest sports at the time in the 40s, 50s, 60s. You go into baseball, having a manager knowingly place bets on his team, win or lose. I understood the idea of making example. You can't have betting make its way as it did in horse racing and boxing, which turns those sports upside down. I get all that. And it's sad to me that my whole lifetime, all I've been able to talk about is Pete Rose and his lifetime ban from baseball. Because, again, I was a kid when he was retiring. I only ever knew him as a player manager in the early years. And here we are in an era, guys, where the backup point guard for a bad basketball team makes $125,000. Money has made its way into sports, even at this amateur level. So I think it was important that they made an example so it wouldn't fall to the way that some of those other sports, popular sports at the time. But it's nice to be able to talk, again, rest in peace. Condolences go out to his family. I'm not trying to make light of it, obviously, by any stretch. But the fact that posthumously, we can talk about Pete Rose as being a great player because it's been so dominated the conversation about his lifetime ban.
Yeah.
And on a day where we also lost NBA legend Dikembe Mutombo, so two absolute legends in their sports gone today. Dikembe Mutombo at the age of 58 due to brain cancer, and Pete Rose at the age of 83. We'd like to hear your thoughts as well on Dikembe. If you were a fan of his or saw him play or loved what he did out there on the basketball court, 520-848-1290, 520-848-1290. Cricket, though, getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together, sponsored by the Tucson Reptile Show. With collisions that are reported, Tanqueverde and Sabino Canyon, Craycroft and Broadway Boulevard, Alvernon and Broadway. And also a heads up for road work and backups on Grant Road east of Country Club to east of Alvernon Way. You could use maybe Pima or perhaps Glen instead. And for your weather, about 105 tomorrow, around 102 the rest of the week, and 104 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
The event of the year is here. The 22nd Annual Tucson Reptile and Amphibian Show and Sale, October 5th and 6th at the Pima County Fairgrounds Old Pueblo Hall. Discover exotic creatures from crocodiles to cobras. Enjoy a well-supervised reptile petting zoo. Get more information at TucsonReptileShow.com.
Get your backyard summer ready with a custom pool from First Choice Pools. A backyard oasis built around you. First Choice is a full-service builder of beautiful in-ground pools and backyard designs for years of staycations. If you want to dive in this summer, now is the time to visit TucsonPoolBuilder.com. First Choice Pools for installs, renovation, remodeling, and repair. Get started today at TucsonPoolBuilders.com. Ask about our 60-day pool. To be summer ready, First Choice is the only choice.
Make sure you download or update the Wildcats Radio 1290 app. We've got the entire state covered like no other sports radio station in Southern Arizona. Plus, when you have the app, you can cover U of A sports with Wildcats Radio 1290 anywhere and everywhere you go and out of town, too. The mountains, the beach, working out, or maybe even...
Oh, no. Turn that off.
Download or update the Wildcats Radio 1290 app today and never miss a moment of sports analysis. Well, maybe an occasional moment. Wildcats Radio 1290.
A West Coast under. I'm Joe Ostrowski here to help you beat the books with BetQL. San Diego State hosts Hawaii late night on Saturday, and it's looking like a slugfest. It's a low total of 47, and the BetQL model still going under. BetQL has under 47 as a 5-star best bet. I'm Joe Ostrowski. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download the BetQL and BetMGM apps today.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this. If something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
Hey homeowners, are you ready to chill out and go green? Goodfellas Air Conditioning can help. Introducing our latest lineup of energy-efficient systems featuring the new R32 refrigerant. It's cooler, greener, and better for the planet. You'll enjoy lower energy bills and a smaller carbon footprint. Not a fan of change? Goodfellas has a surplus of reliable R410 systems available. Unsure about what system you have or have questions? Give us a call for a free inspection. Goodfellas Air Conditioning, keeping it cool, keeping it green, and always keeping you comfortable.
Bingo. All right, Bill, we're recording now. And please put your phone on silent.
Oh, where is my phone?
Let's go, man. Okay. Get it together over there, player. Go ahead. Pick on me the way that you want to.
I wouldn't say that to my son.
Just go.
All right, why would people want to listen to the Sims Complete podcast?
A father-son dynamic duo talking about the game of football.
We do a lot of quarterback and coach talks. It's fun. I love doing this. It's been awesome.
Sims Complete. Check us out on the Believe Network. Appreciate it.
Just search Believe, B-L-E-A-V, wherever you listen.
It's that time of year again. The Marana Pumpkin Patch is back and better than ever. Bring the whole family for a day full of fun under the Arizona sun. Take a scenic wagon ride to the pumpkin fields. Pick the perfect pumpkin and explore the corn maze. But this year, they've got something new for 2024.
Scream, the haunted corn maze. Enter if you dare, but beware of what lurks in the dark.
Plus, enjoy all your favorite activities, rides, slides, the farm animals, and the pumpkin cannon. Open weekends from October 5th through October 31st. Head to MaranaPumpkinPatch.com for tickets and info. Don't miss out. The Marana Pumpkin Patch, now with a scream-worthy twist.
And this Friday, we have a sweet deal for you from the Marana Pumpkin Patch. You can get admission into the Marana Pumpkin Patch for just $12.50 or admission into the all-new Scream Haunted Corn Maze. Also just $12.50. And this sweet deal will go on sale this Friday morning at 8:30 at WildcatsRadio1290.com.
This is Zach Gelb with the Sports Minute, sponsored by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Please gamble responsibly. The Dallas Cowboys beat the New York Giants last night to kick off Week 4 of the NFL season, but Dallas didn't look all that impressive as they only beat Big Blue by 5 points. The Cowboys aren't a bad team, but I wouldn't call them a good team either. So as the kids would say, the Cowboys are just mid, and I expect them to just miss the playoffs this season. I'm Zach Gelb.
Hey, sports fans, if you're not calling John Anthony, you're simply missing out. To prove it, I'm releasing your Monday Night Report absolutely free on recorded message line. 1-800-244-5506. Seattle-Detroit tonight's going to be a monster game, and I've got the side and the total. Seattle-Detroit confirmed analysis and special props. That's 5 big plays. John Anthony has you covered. I love to sweep the board. Call now to hear the free and recorded message. 1-800-244-5506. Information wins. John Anthony Sports #1 against the spread. Call 1-800-244-5506. You want information? I've got it. Seattle-Detroit plus special prop action. I love to go 5-0 this season free. 1-800-244-5506. That's 1-800-244-5506. Or go to JohnAnthonySports.com.
Sponsored by JFSR Group.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. You can call us at that number. You can text us at that number. We're going to talk some Arizona football in the 5 o'clock hour with Jordan Ham from Sports 360 AZ. He was in Salt Lake City for the Wildcats' 23-10 win over number 10 Utah. We'll get Jordy's thoughts on the Wildcats and what he saw. We'll also hear from the head coach, Brent Brennan, who spoke today. And don't forget, the Brent Brennan radio show is coming up for you in a little over an hour, 6:05, live from the Union Public House. The coach and Brian Jeffries will chat as we get ready to turn the page to October, playoff baseball, college football. And before you know it, we're going to be playing some basketball. I looked at the schedule. Our audio Bob, we were talking in the office, and he's like, yeah, there's women's basketball games at the end of the month. And I'm like, wait, I'm not used to basketball starting until November. We've actually got games in October, at the end of October this year. A little bit longer season than normal. I mean, we got a basketball game on October the 19th for the men, in terms of an exhibition, so it's just a few weeks away. Red Blue coming up this Friday in Tucson, and then the second Red Blue will be a week from Friday in Glendale. So the Wildcats will be on parade coming up this week, and we'll look forward to that. Tommy Lloyd was at the Cardinals game yesterday. I think he was in a suite. I saw, he became a grandfather over the summer. His son, who is on the team, Liam, became a dad, and I think there was a picture with Liam holding the baby in the background while they were at the Cardinals game yesterday. So, Tommy getting out there and seeing a little football. Wasn't very good football. We'll dive into that, too, if we have an opportunity here today. But we've been talking about the deaths of Pete Rose and Dikembe Mutombo. JW, you have a story about Dikembe Mutombo.
Yeah. I had the pleasure of seeing him play live twice in college. And the first time I saw him play was March 15th, 1991, in the first round of the NCAA tournament, which was played here in McHale. And they played Vanderbilt, and they won that game 70-60. Now, people may remember that Mutombo and Alonzo Mourning were both on the Georgetown Hoya team together. That year, Mourning got hurt about halfway through, did not complete the season. So basically, that was Dikembe's team. Alonzo Mourning was not playing. The second time I saw Alonzo Mourning play live was March 17th, 1991. And it's hard to gauge the most NBA talent I've ever seen on one college court at one time. But I always refer to that game because that was the Georgetown Hoyas versus the undefeated UNLV Running Rebels. The year they lost to Duke in the finals after winning it the year before. So this was Larry Johnson, Stacey Ogman, all those guys in their undefeated, beating everybody across the country by 25 points. It was actually a pretty competitive game. Mutombo preventing a lot of Larry Johnson dunks in that game. But, yeah, the undefeated Running Rebels playing the Georgetown Hoyas in the second round of the NCAA tournament in 1991. I was fortunate enough to be at that game.
Wow.
And I just remember, number one, all of the interviews I ever saw with Dikembe, he was just such a glowing, positive, outgoing personality. All of the stories you hear about how much of his salaries went back to help build homes, sustainable homes in Africa, and all the things he did with his fame and his money. But the idea that, he was such a dominant player and known for the wags, but off the court just couldn't have been the nicer guy, and just a really incredible spokesperson and ambassador for the game.
I wonder, you mentioned that game here in Tucson. And we obviously they haven't hosted NCAA tournaments at McHale Center in years. I believe the last one might have been around the time I got here.
They changed it to having a maximum, there's a size maximum I think they're looking for now.
But would that have been an all-time game in terms of if you're talking about NCAA tournament games, to have those two teams playing each other, Georgetown and UNLV?
I saw Georgetown actually come in there as well, and Steve Smith, I think it was, hit a game-winning shot at the buzzer. Right. There's a lot of good NCAA tournament games because every 4 years they would come, and I think I went through 4 cycles, so I think it started in the early 80s. I went to probably 12 or so NCAA tournament games there in Tucson. This was after, in the early days when I was a kid, home teams hosted. So they got to host their own NCAA tournament games in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah. What they still do in the women's side.
Exactly. Beyond that, when they rotated, it was obviously whoever had season tickets got contacted to be able to see if you wanted to get those NCAA tournaments. So we always got those tickets. And, the talent, DK, on that court, Larry Johnson, Stacey Ogman, Anderson Hunt, Greg Anthony, all those guys were NBA stars and legends, in their own right.
Not to mention eventually became teammates in the case of Larry Johnson and Alonzo Mourning.
Sure.
Maybe we'll have to do that. We'll have to maybe get a list of all the NCAA tournament games played here in Tucson, and kind of maybe see if fans want to vote on what was the best of all time. Because I'd have to imagine any meeting between Georgetown and UNLV would be right up there at the top of the list, especially in the 80s when those two teams were at the height of their power with legendary coaches and Jerry Tarkanian.
The only issue here is this was a semi-ugly game that finished 62-54 was the final. So I don't know if I could put a 62-54 where Georgetown only scored 19 points in the first half among the greatest games I've ever seen. But as far as the talent that would near future after that, dominate the NBA, that game had it all.
All right, we've got a pair of Monday night games that are going on right now. Double the Monday night. We won't have Monday Night Football here on Wildcats Radio 1290 because we have the Coaches Show, Brent Brennan Coaches Show tonight. But there are a couple of games. We've got the Titans and the Dolphins, and Will Levis has already thrown an interception, and this game just barely started. Luckily for him, though, it wasn't a pick six. The Titans are 0-3. They're bad. The Dolphins have not won since Tua got hurt.
And not only lucky for him on that regard, but also lucky that it was also responded with a turnover from the Dolphins themselves. They threw a backwards pass trying to get Tyreek Hill involved, and new quarterback Tyrone Huntley, a.k.a. Snoop, because that was his nickname in Baltimore for a long time, he threw a backwards pass that ended up getting recovered by the Titans. So now we've had both quarterbacks commit a turnover, and now it's just a matter of who gets benched first is going to be the question.
Also, a report came out today that Mr. McCaffrey has tendonitis in both his Achilles. Both his Achilles.
Not good there. The other game, which will start at about 20 minutes or so, 5:15, is in Detroit. That'll be the Lions at 2-1 against the surprising Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks are 3-0, although Geno has 3 touchdowns to 3 interceptions, so he's not necessarily lighting it up. But they're winning football games out there in Seattle, and that'll probably be the better game of these two coming up tonight. And, of course, that'll wrap up Week 4. Week 5 will get underway. We'll have that game for you coming up Thursday night, as it is the return to prime time once again for Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson's getting a lot of prime
Every
time
game he plays is prime time. Huh?
I'm telling you, man. We tried to get. I'll throw it out there now since it's probably not going to happen. But we tried for 2 years to get the Atlanta Falcons games on our station, and I was hoping to maybe try to make that happen, but we couldn't get a deal done, and there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through to kind of be an out-of-region affiliate for a National Football League team. But, we were hoping to have some of those games on our air every
I could just imagine
week.
the way karma and all that stuff works. Like, you spend 8 months trying to get it on, and then he gets traded the next week.
Right? He gets hurt or something like that. He's out for the season. And it's like, we finally get it. Oh, we can do it next year. And then he signs with somebody else the year after that or something of that nature. So Falcons and Buccaneers this Thursday night. We'll have that game. And then, of course, Sunday Night Football every Sunday with our guy Ryan Radke, who you heard the great call of the big run in the Ravens game last night. This week it is the Cowboys against David on the Steelers. The Steelers finally took it on the chin yesterday. What happened there? I didn't see
off
that
the
game.
face mask is more so it after that.
I heard it was controversial.
Snap. Well, the main thing I'm not gonna talk about the controversy related to because I could get into it for another 5-10 minutes potentially. But it was just a bad snap by the rookie center, went off the face mask of Justin Fields at the 50-yard line. You're down by 3. You need that drive to go ahead and go your way. And starting it with a bad snap is not the way to go after the 2-minute warning. So, hey, they fought back. They made it close. But, hey, the main thing is injuries are going to start killing teams across the league.
Speaking of injuries, we haven't really even talked about the biggest story from yesterday with Mr. Rice. Unfortunate injury.
She Rice. But, the Chiefs win. They seem to keep finding ways to win. And
somehow or another.
Exactly. The Cardinals were absolutely putrid, and let's go inside the Washington Commanders locker room after the game, after a 42-14 drubbing of the Arizona Cardinals, and hear what Dan Quinn had to say to his team after that big win.
A couple things we said last night, man. We said it's great when you count on others and they count on you. And that way, victory is produced by everybody, all right? And that's what tonight was, man. Fast, physical. We said anybody, anywhere, any time, all right? So we did what we came to do, all right? So there'll be a number of game balls that will be issued out, I'm sure, tomorrow. But there's one that ain't leaving this city without one. Cliff! Next. Yeah! Let's go, get in.
Cliff Kingsbury coming back. There you go. All right. Don't run into the breakdown there.
You said a lot of bad words.
Dan Quinn.
Can you tell Dan Quinn's a defensive coach? My goodness.
Dan Quinn was on fire, making sure that everybody knew how much appreciative they were of Cliff Kingsbury and what he has done as the offensive coordinator. I mean, again, another tremendous performance by the rookie, Jaden Daniels, 26 of 30, 4 incompletions, 233 yards. So he's not like throwing for 400 yards because that's not what this offense is about. It's about completing passes and moving the chains, and they are really doing that effectively.
So this guy struggled in Tempe.
Yeah.
Went to LSU, was great, and now he's doing great in the NFL. What does that tell us about what's going on up north from here?
Right. Yeah, but he keeps praising Herm as being, one of the reasons he is where he is. So I don't know.
Hey, that can be
I don't know.
That can sound genuine, but it can also be disingenuous because hey, Herm's the reason I'm where I'm at right now. Because if it hadn't been for Herm, I wouldn't have decided to leave Arizona State.
Exactly. I just wasn't going to pass up on our opportunity to make a snide comment.
Oh no, absolutely. We can go ahead and we can dunk on the school up north anytime we can get the chance to. We're going to take it. But besides that, DK, be careful. This Commanders team actually has a chance to potentially win that division.
Yeah,
there's a chance.
I think they play a team called the Browns next Sunday. I don't know if I'm going to go watch that game after me and Glenn went and watched his Raiders beat up on us yesterday. All right, we're going to hear from Brent Brennan coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. David Amata right now telling you everything happening in Southern Arizona sports and around the world.
Wildcats Radio 1290. 2020 Sports.
We're looking elsewhere to the Arizona campus right now. Arizona volleyball team ended up taking up another loss on Friday. They dropped their second game against a ranked opponent, TCU being the Cats, in 3 straight sets. Soccer ended up going and playing to a draw with Big 12 leading West Virginia on Sunday. Arizona Triathlon came in first place for their first time in program history at the Battle of the Fort, this being their second season in the program's history as they best 6 other programs, including Arizona State. Another chance to go ahead and dunk on the school up north. And the Diamondbacks playoffs hung in the balance today of the doubleheader between the Mets and the Braves, and New York continues their surprising resurgence this season. They took the first game on the day.
Mets trying to go back to the postseason for the first time since 22. On the ground, Lindor. And they're going to do it behind Lindor. And Diaz slams his glove down. What a comeback by the Mets in this one. And they are on to the postseason as they beat the Braves in Game 1, 8-7.
And the Mets got all the runs that they could score on the day in the first one. They score nothing in the second. The Braves end up shutting out the Mets in Game 2, and that does knock out the Diamondbacks of their postseason opportunity. And the Kansas City Chiefs receiver Rashee Rice is going to still undergo an MRI. Our head coach Andy Reid says the team will be looking to spread the ball around as they possibly lose the former SMU star to the season with a torn ACL. The Chiefs have already been short Hollywood Brown this year. The free agent pickup went to IR with season-ending shoulder surgery. And that's your 2020 Sports Update. We'll have more for you here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Collision Naranja and La Cañada and Naranja for a wreck reported. Also some slowdowns Ahoway and Mission for westbound travel. Some more slowing on southbound La Cholla at Ahoway. About 105 tomorrow, around 102 the rest of the week, and 104 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather
This
together.
report is sponsored by Allstate. Wish you could save on home insurance? With Allstate, you could easily save and get quality protection. Yep, it's a win-win. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
There are many reasons you might need Dorado Rockin' Materials. A few bare spots in the yard, the driveway needs filling in, or it could be that the yard needs a whole makeover. Whatever the reason, if your yard has the summertime blues, Dorado Rockin' Materials has everything from sand to boulders and every rock and pebble in between. If you need help spreading it, we have options for that too. Call 400-4233. Dorado Rockin' Materials. The right service, the right product, the right price.
For 100 years, O'Reilly Chevrolet has been part of the fabric of Tucson, just as our Chevy trucks are part of the fabric of America. With that in mind, we're proud to announce it's officially truck season. And this year we have Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, the all-new Chevy Colorado. Test drive your new Chevy truck on Broadway next to Park Place Mall. Call 747-8000 or check out our entire lineup at O'Reilly.com. Don't miss truck season, going on now at O'Reilly Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
O'Reilly Chevrolet. Tucson, remember, the home of the Wildcats is 1290, with Brian Jeffries calling all the play-by-play action of Arizona football, men's basketball, and baseball. The one and only home of Arizona athletics is 1290. Wildcats Radio 1290.
Hey, Wildcats, Arizona football is in full swing. Join us Saturday, October 5th for the inaugural Big 12 home game as we face Texas Tech. Saturday, October 5th, we're also celebrating military appreciation as the Cats take on Texas Tech. Arrive early for kickoff. Secure your seats today by calling the ticket office at 520-621-2287 or visiting ArizonaWildcats.com/FB. Lock in your tickets today, and we'll see you in Arizona Stadium Saturday, October 5th against Texas Tech. Bear down and go Cats.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks VapoStick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors. Use as directed. VapoStick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max used for adults only.
Oi! Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
Oh, I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Ace, you're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more.
The Wildcats play here. This is your home of Arizona Wildcats football, men's basketball, and baseball. This is the home of the Wildcats. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
Is he okay?
Ron, did you get hit on the head?
What? Oh, no.
I was just reminiscing.
Here comes a story.
I was 5 or 6. A scruffy little ragamuffin I was.
A scruffy? What are you, Charles Dickens?
Mama just wanted to comfort me.
Mama?
Comfort. It's why we started Alaskan AC, you know?
We know.
I was being a fuss budget. Golly, I was a scoundrel.
Get to the point.
These were the early days at Alaskan AC, see?
See.
It's a fun place to work at Alaskan AC.
Ron.
We don't take ourselves too seriously.
We literally just came up with a new Alaskan AC jingle last month.
What? Who's that? Who's there? Is it you, Mama?
Oh, boy.
Yes, Ronnie, it's Mama.
Did your little Ron Bon make you proud?
Every day, dear.
Why did I even come to work today?
Because...
It's a fun place to work at Alaskan AC. We don't take ourselves too seriously.
Alaskan AC.
Join David Kelly for Bear Down Fridays this Friday at Illegal Pete's on University from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. as we get ready for the Wildcats to take on Texas Tech at Arizona Stadium this Saturday. Sponsored by Corona for fans of the fine line, an official corporate sponsor of Arizona Athletics.
KTUB Tucson, Cumulus Media Station. The one and only home of Arizona football. Pre- and post-game coverage, play-by-play, and live press conferences. We are Wildcats Radio 1290. Live from the CNWT.
Wait, what's the CNWT?
Central Northwest Tucson. Duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
David Amata.
Hey, that's Dragon Ball to you.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names, David Scott Kelly.
Handoff, straight up the gut, and that's down to about the 47. That looked like Caden Luke.
That's exactly who
That is the first carry for Caden Luke, the freshman out of CDO High in Tucson. You don't want to try and tackle Caden Luke.
He made him pay for it, that's for sure. He dropped that shoulder.
He dropped his shoulder all right on that dude. I mean, Caden Luke like a Mack truck coming through that hole for a hard 4 yards. His first carry of his college career after he did a whole lot of blocking.
Remember when like the Chiefs had a series of Okoye and Holmes
Christian
and all those
Okoye,
guys?
yeah.
Like they always had like a 6'3", 250-pound guy that would literally run into linebackers just like that, lower the shoulder, and send them backwards. Caden Luke was letting that person know who he was from the very start, first carry.
Wildcats, though, not in the top 25 this week as a result of their win over number 10 Utah. They got the most votes of the teams outside the top 25, but they are still not a part of that mix, surprisingly. I thought they would at least get back into it, but none so luck. The 25, it's actually a tie at 25. Texas A&M and UNLV. We didn't even really get into the whole UNLV thing last week with the defection of their quarterback over NIL. The first of hopefully, we hope that won't be something that we see a lot of.
That is
but
a
it's probably
very
going to see
bad
something.
precedent to get started.
Yeah.
You don't want, if people don't know what happened, the UNLV quarterback came out with 3-0. Stats
Matt
went off the
Sluka,
charts.
I believe his name is.
However, his parents and his social group around him, they all decided that he wasn't making enough money from NIL, and 3 games into the season, we're going to sit out and hold out for more. And that idea...
By using a red shirt.
Exactly.
Season,
So that idea of a player deciding 2 or 3 games in, they want to renegotiate their NIL deals this early into all this. My problem is, I want to point this out. Who wants to recruit a quarterback who has just done this to their team, guys? I mean, that the precedent from his standpoint, being able to be reliable as a teammate, but no, 2-3 games in, I'm going to go ahead and stop playing because I don't think I'm getting paid enough. That's the worst precedent you could possibly set.
And of course, there's a story now that's coming out of Las Vegas that the sportsbook operators offered to put up the money to try to keep Matthew Sluka in Las Vegas. I'm surprised they haven't already been coming up with the money in Las Vegas for such things. I mean, again,
but where does that end? Like, if you've got a center at Arizona and he's getting paid $1 million a year, and then he plays 5 games and he wants $1.5 million, and then there's some boosters who are willing to do that, and when does that slope end? Right? I mean, asking for, I believe that, most contracts in professional sports are negotiated in the off season, and once you sign that contract, right? I mean, you're play for that team.
I feel like the other part of it was that the wording, based on what I remember reading on it, was that the quarterback said that he wasn't being paid what he was promised. And that's the other part. Okay, so now we're reaching a point where you have a money amount set to agreement on payment on whether or not you play. And guys, we're not talking about a scholarship anymore. We're talking about a contract. This is a professional contract to play college football.
Well, if Northwestern was it?
Yep.
The union? Yeah. I mean, if Northwestern has anything to say about it, it's going to be they're all going to be employees with, 40 hours a week, work weeks, and overtime.
How there was nothing written on this is and that's the other thing. It's like, well, if these deals are going to be happening, then y'all got to have something in writing. Somebody needs to produce something that says, here's what was on the piece of paper. Here's what everybody signed to. Let's move on from it. And apparently nobody can produce that. So that makes it even worse. It's like, oh, we've got these verbal agreements. You cannot have verbal agreements when it comes to this stuff.
The guy from Miami, was it, or Florida State, who wound up at ASU, right? That whole story that he was offered somehow ungodly, like $18 million, some outrageous number, like 10 times more than we'd ever heard.
Who was that guy?
Turned out that was a lot of smoke and mirrors, and that deal never really existed. They just quoted it as being as such, and he never even ended up playing for them, enrolled at ASU.
They didn't need Matthew Sluka because Haj Malik Williams came in and they pounded Fresno State over the weekend, 59-14, and Williams threw for 3 touchdown passes. So,
Dragon Ball, who's your favorite running Rebel quarterback of all time?
I mean, that's a tall
You're not
list.
quite old enough, but there's only one answer.
Anderson
The
Hunt.
answer is Randall Cunningham. No, the answer is Randall Cunningham. It's just I think you're a little. I don't know if you saw him play.
I remember seeing him in green. I remember seeing him in Rebel Red.
Well, it's funny because he was so dynamic and such a great quarterback. And I remember reading, like, where did he go to school? UNLV. I didn't even know they had a football team at the time,
So Arizona 16 votes behind Texas A&M and UNLV for the number 25 spot in the top 25. On the coaches' side, the Wildcats were the 3rd highest team to get votes behind Boise State and Pittsburgh, with Indiana and Illinois coming in at 24-25. So we'll see what transpires this week in that regard. Let's hear a little bit from Brent Brennan. We're going to talk some football, Arizona football, with Jordan Ham coming up. He was at the game on Saturday. Let's hear from the head coach, Brent Brennan, on some of the changes that were made heading into the game at Salt Lake City.
No, Fefe, it was a cool story. So last week, Coach Moival's mother passed away. And so when he was playing at Oregon State, she was kind of the team mom. And so Coach Ciamalo talked to our team about it on Friday. When they were leaving for a trip, right, she would always get on the team bus, which is like crazy, right, for a parent to get on our team bus, But she would get on the team bus, and she would get on each bus, and she would pray for everybody. And then she would say, "No Fefe," which in Samoan translates to no fear. And so we wore those shirts in honor of her and Coach Moival.
It seemed like maybe there were some different types of play calls. I mean, how did you guys go about the play calling duties on Saturday?
Yeah, so I know that's a hot topic. When we first brought Coach Babers in here, from the beginning, the intent was for him to really help the young coaches grow and develop. And he's been doing a fantastic job with the offensive staff. And watching that over time, we felt like going into the bye week was the right time for Coach Atkins to, with the help of Dino, to kind of step into that role. And, with the game against Utah, we felt like it was a strategic advantage for us to not disclose that before. And so that was how we approached it. And, Coach Babers he was on board with this. He's been great about it. We've had a lot of conversations about it. And he's incredibly supportive of Matt and the staff, and everyone's working really well together. And Coach Babers is such an important part of what we're doing here. And I really, really value his contribution to our offense, to the players, to the coaching, and to the mentorship he's providing for our young coaches.
Sicario Davis was the Big 12 defensive player of the week. He had 5 pass breakups in that game. I don't think any pass interference calls against him. What stood out about his performance, and just what stands out about him in terms of his length, how that's able to translate into production.
Yeah, I mean, what an incredible game by our whole defense, right? Like, just that was, I thought, outstanding. You know, and in order to make those plays, we also need incredible push up front, and the front seven was fantastic. I thought our D-line was just excellent. But it's great to see Takario smiling and having fun. You know, I think he really cut it loose and enjoyed the moment. He responded to the big stage and the big crowd the way you would expect him to. And as a lifetime receiver, player, coach, the space I've always operated in, the number one thing you don't like dealing with as a wideout or someone that's coaching them is length. I'm just telling you, like that was when I was game planning, that's the number one thing I was looking for was length and how we were going to negotiate that. Just because it's, you know, especially with some of our receivers are bigger body guys. And so you like to use those big body guys against smaller people, right? It's harder for those smaller corners to work around somebody like T-Mac because he's 6'4.5" and 215 pounds, right? But with Bobo, he's got such length that length becomes a problem. He can take vertical speed off you, and then he can get his hands on footballs a lot of other guys can't.
Just to kind of follow on that, Brent, in the totality of Takario's performance, obviously he had the big plays in the end zone, knocking balls down on fourth down. He did give up some plays in space to Dorian. How do you grade those plays in the totality of his performance?
I think when you're going against the type of caliber people that we're going to go against week in and week out, I think you're going to have guys are going to make plays. And I think the challenge for any great corner is how do you respond to the play that was made, right? I mean, it's any great player, but it's at that corner position where you're out there, you're so naked, right? Like the whole world sees those matchups so clearly. And so those corners have to be like a pitcher that just gave up a home run because they got to line up the next play, right? And I thought Bobo did a great job answering that time and time again, as did the rest of our secondary. I thought Manny played a great game, you know, so there's a lot of good stuff there.
All right, that is the head coach of your Arizona Wildcats, a little bit of his press conference today. Earlier, you heard it right here on Wildcats Radio 1290. And, of course, much more coming up for you tonight at 6:05. It is the Brent Brennan Radio Show. You'll hear that here from the Union Public House. So it'll be at the Union Public House. You can see it there. You'll hear it here with Brian Jeffries at 6:05. And, of course, we'll have the Brent Brennan press conference show for you on Thursday as well. That is all brought to you by Coors Light. Coors Light, choose chill, the official corporate sponsor of Arizona Athletics. We will have much more coming up for you. We're going to chat with Jordan Ham. He was at the game in Salt Lake City. And guess what? We have something cool to tell you about the next game after this week. Texas Tech Saturday night, my birthday, bring cake. And then the following week on the road at BYU, we'll tell you a little bit about what to expect there. I can tell you right now, you're not going to have to stay up real late on the 12th. DK on the sports tip. Cricket getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. I-10 near the Ajo-Kino connection, collision that occurred on eastbound I-10. The Ajo-Kino connection, there are freeway backups on the eastbound side of I-10 approaching 6th Avenue to Ajo-Kino. Other collisions on Houghton, north of Speedway Boulevard, Naranja, and La Cañada. 105 tomorrow, around 102 the rest of the weekend, 104 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone. The free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help you troubleshoot the likely cause of your pesky check engine light for free and help you save time and money down the road. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Real football fans know that Tucson's home for football is Wildcats Radio 1290.
Yes.
We are your home for the Wildcats and the NFL. This is Wildcats Radio 1290.
Is he okay? Ron, did you get hit on the head?
What? Oh, no. I was just reminiscing.
Here comes a story.
I was 5 or 6. A scruffy little ragamuffin, I was.
A scruffy? What are you, Charles Dickens?
Mama just wanted to comfort me.
Mama?
Comfort. It's why we started Alaskan AC, you know?
We know.
I was being a fuss budget. Golly, I was a scoundrel.
Get to the point.
These were the early days at Alaskan AC, see?
See.
It's a fun place to work at Alaskan AC.
Ron.
We don't take ourselves too seriously.
We literally just came up with the new Alaskan AC jingle last month.
What? Who's that? Who's there? Is it you, Mama?
Oh, boy.
Yes, Ronnie, it's Mama.
Did your little Ron Bon make you proud?
Every day, dear.
Why did I even come to work today?
Because...
It's a fun place to work at Alaskan AC. We don't take ourselves too seriously.
AlaskanAC.com.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com.
At Wildcats Radio 1290, we're not just radio. We're your source in Tucson for digital marketing solutions. We specialize in creating strategic and effective marketing campaigns designed to get results for your business. Whether you want to target a local, regional, or a national audience, we have the right solution for your business. Call the Wildcats Radio 1290 business line at 520-887-1000 and put Cumulus Digital Media to work for you.
Listen to the home of the Wildcats wherever you are on your iPhone and iPad by downloading our new app in the App Store so you can tune in wherever you are 24 hours a day. The home of the Wildcats is everywhere. This is Wildcats Radio 1290.
Westwood One presents Today in Women's Sports. The WNBA semifinals tipped off Sunday, highlighted by a rematch of last year's finals between the New York Liberty and the Las Vegas Aces. In a game featuring plenty of star power, Breanna Stewart shined the brightest. Stewart poured in 34 points, leading all scorers, and Sabrina Ionescu pitched in 21 as New York cruised on its home court. Kelsey Plum sparked the Aces with 24, while MVP Asia Wilson added 21 in the loss. With Stewart showing the way, the Liberty are poised to potentially dethrone the defending champions.
I don't forget who I am and what I can do, and making sure that, every opportunity I get, I'm going to continue to be better. And, like I said, last time wasn't my most proudest, but I'm going to continue to be better now.
Las Vegas will try to respond in Game 2 on Tuesday. With Today in Women's Sports, I'm Amy Lawrence on Westwood One.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month, but you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio.
Sponsored by Age of Learning.
Good morning, Doctor. Doctor? Hi, Doctor. Doctor?
Dr. Jackson's practice is growing.
What do you mean we're still short-staffed?
He needs a good patient doctor.
How do we not have enough doctors to doctor all these patients?
And he doesn't have the patience to sift through hundreds of resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Arizona football with the upset Saturday, 23-10 in Salt Lake City over the number 10 Utah Utes. Let's talk to a gentleman who was there and saw it firsthand with his own eyes. Jordan Ham from Sports 360 AZ was in Salt Lake City to witness the transformation of Arizona's offense. Jordan, appreciate you taking a few minutes to join us. Just first of all, let's talk about the atmosphere, obviously, that night. Have you been to games in Salt Lake City before? And how would you describe, what you said? It was a blackout. What you saw was a blackout there, and just kind of the atmosphere of that night.
Yeah, this is either the third or the fourth time I've been up in Rice-Eccles, and it is as advertised. One of the best environments for college football. And when that home crowd gets going and the way the stadium is built, it really feels like the crowd is right on top of the field. So when things really get rolling, there were a few times that they had, various stadium shots that they had to cut away to because the camera was shaking so much. So it is a wild environment. First time I've been up there, and the skies didn't open up on me, so it was actually a gorgeous night. So that was a nice little plus there. But yeah, it really can get going. And to Arizona's credit, there were a few different points in the game where they got that crowd really, really quiet. With the way that they were playing and the way that they were stopping the Utes. So really, despite it being a great environment, the Wildcats didn't seem too phased, where it was overwhelming. And I think that just speaks to, the experience that Noah Fifita has and a lot of that offensive line. And, a lot of people, I think, just stepped up and took a big leadership role to counteract that environment. They're able to get away with a dominant victory over the number 10 team in the country.
Now, before we get into the game, I want to ask you this question. Obviously, you cover both Arizona and Arizona State. U of A has their first Big 12 home game coming up this Saturday against Texas Tech. Do you think Arizona and Arizona State's fan bases are going to be able to step up and match what we've seen at Utah? We knew that, though. We've been a part of that before. What we saw at Kansas State a few weeks ago. What the Wildcats are going to experience when they go to BYU here coming up later in the month of October. Do you think these two fan bases are ready to step up and meet that challenge of what the Big 12 offers every Saturday on the football side?
I think there's a clear distinction, and it was at the end of your question, every single week. We've seen it with both fan bases. When it's a big game, you can get both of those stadiums really rocking. You can get them where it truly is a home field advantage. And I've heard Brent Brennan talk about it. I've heard Kenny Dillingham talk about it. It's the consistency of, if this is a middle tier team coming through and maybe the home team isn't playing incredibly great, or, it's just any given Saturday, that's where I'm looking forward to seeing if both of these home field advantages can get to where it is. And no matter who the opponent is, no matter the time of day, honestly, no matter the temperature, will this be a sellout or close to sellout and really make an impact in that game? So I think that both fan bases need to grow into that, and we'll see if they can do it in year one, or if it might take a couple of years really seeing what this Big 12 life is all about to get them to that point.
We're chatting with Jordan Ham from Sports 360 AZ. He was at the game on Saturday in Salt Lake City, Arizona's 23-10 win over Utah. Jordan, let's dive into the ball game and what you saw. Obviously, this offense, things changed. We spoke and heard from Brent Brennan that they kind of shuffled some duties. Matt Atkins a little bit more involved in the play calling for this particular ball game on Saturday. And I thought really what I liked from the beginning was, granted, the first pass went to T-Mac, as it seems to always go to T-Mac. But right away, they started getting other people involved. They had the little kind of movement of the tight end with Kean Burnett on I believe it was maybe the second play, the second pass of the game. Got him the ball. You got Gavin Hunter, a move the chains pass early. I like the fact that let's get some other guys involved early, so it's not just T-Mac, 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 T-Mac.
100%. And look, T-Mac is an incredible talent and will be a first-round pick. But when T-Mac is really good, when you look at last year where the guy opposite him is setting a record for most touchdown receptions in a season, and you have an NFL tight end, when you're able to get – and there are guys in the backfield making big catches as well. When you're able to get a lot of these guys involved, Noah Fifita is going to be an incredible point guard and get the ball out to whoever's open and whoever's creating separation. And it really felt like this was the first time where that truly was true, this season, where he was able to have, he's able to huck it to Kean Burnett in a big touchdown. Jeremiah Patterson came down with a touchdown. But there were some key move the chains moments there late in the game. And, you can use that attention that T-Mac gets to your advantage, whether it is he goes up and, climbs the ladder and comes down with a catch where he's double covered, or someone's going to be open if they're double covering that sort of talent. So it did feel like it was a little bit more wide open, not so much where they're looking at T-Mac as a necessity, where they have to get him the ball because he might be the only one open, but more so because he's the right read in that play.
We're chatting with Jordan Ham, Sports 360 AZ. He was in Salt Lake City to see the Wildcats 23-10 upset over number 10 Utah on Saturday night. Tacario Davis, Pac-12, or I should say, see, there we go, Pac-12. We have a thing here. I have to put money into the jar here every time I say Pac-12. The Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. And here's how I saw it, Jordy, and I want to get your thoughts on it. I thought absolutely great game by Tacario. Made some awesome plays when he needed to in the end zone to kill some drives, third downs, fourth downs, pass deflections. But he also gave up some big plays in between the 20s to Dorian Singer. So I kind of leveled it. I still gave him an A- performance because I thought, the level of the pass deflections and the timing of those made it an A- performance, but I couldn't give him the A+ because there were those plays where Singer kind of took control of him in some of those situations and obviously had the big game with 155 yards.
Yeah, and I think that also speaks maybe a little bit more to Dorian than it does to Tacario. And I think the defense as a whole was a bend, don't break defense on Saturday. And there were multiple times it was fourth down, and they were able to come up with the big play, whether it was a pass, whether it was a run. You force Utah to go 0 for 4 on fourth down. Yeah. And look, Utah gets a couple of those. Let's say Utah gets one of those and gets in the end zone early. This is probably a very different ball game. But the fact that they were able to stand up each and every time, multiple times in the red zone, and force Utah to come away with no points, that was massive. And with Tacario, there were, he had a couple of those fourth downs where he was able to knock the pass down. And let's not forget, we're not that far removed from Dorian Singer leading the Pac-12 in receiving yards. Mm-hmm. So I know he's had a couple of quieter years by comparison, but he's still a really good wide receiver. I'm sure he was juiced to go up against his old team. I'm sure they were juiced to go up against him. So I think that speaks more to Dorian necessarily than Tacario. But when the moments mattered most, that's when Tacario stepped up.
Pleased to be joined by Jordan Ham, Sports 360 AZ. He was in Salt Lake City where the Wildcats beat Utah. What other things defensively maybe were some of your top takeaways from the Wildcats' performance, Jordan?
Yeah, the way the defensive line played, we are 1 week removed from Utah running all over a really good Oklahoma State team and getting a win on the road. And the way that the defensive line had played leading up to this game, I know, it felt like they hadn't quite hit all cylinders quite yet, but they really shut down a really good running game. They outrushed the Utes in Rice-Eccles Stadium. I'm not sure the last time that happened. And it was interesting with the substitutions that they had. It was almost like it felt like a hockey substitution almost, where 4 guys would come on, 4 guys would come off. So the way they were able to get creative to make sure everybody was fresh was, I think, really, really important. And then Genesis Smith coming up big with a couple of big plays. And, the more snaps that he gets, the more you see him getting more comfortable and being one of those playmakers. A lot of these guys in the secondary are going to be gone next year. He's kind of more of the young gun, but you can see just him taking the leadership of Trayden Stukes, of Gunnar Maldonado, and really applying that, and him getting really comfortable, even dating back to the end of last year, and having a really good Alamo Bowl. And then you see the way he's able to step up when Trayden Stukes leads the game with an injury, how he slid in very, very nicely.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that was using that hockey analogy there with the defensive line coming in one set, the next line comes in, and I kind of was having that same thought process myself. Jordan Ham joining us from Sports 360 AZ. Okay, Jordan, we've got about, some teams, obviously the Wildcats have only played one game in conference. Some teams have played up to 3 games in conference already. I'm not quite sure yet what this conference is. We've seen some very high-scoring games. Is this a conference where the offenses are really good, or is this a conference where the defenses maybe aren't very good? What do you think that is? I mean, we saw a shutout last week from Iowa State, against obviously Houston, which is probably not the. I think ASU was picked to finish 16th, but it's really more looking like Houston might be that 16th team in this league. Is this an offensive league or just a league where these teams don't know how to play defense? What do you think?
I think it's an offensive league, and you need to be ready for anything. A lot of these offenses will have run games that'll wear you down, but then they can go vertical, and that's just college football now. So I think it speaks probably more to the offenses than the defenses. I mean, we could go back to the Big 12 where it was like the Michael Crabtree days where, it felt like the defenses were playing touch football when everyone else was playing tackle. I don't think it's quite that. I think this is more a lot of versatile types of offenses that you really need to be ready to face a team that can win and score points in a lot of different ways, and that just comes with a lot of challenges. So I think especially early on, you're going to see a lot of points on the board. I think it might kind of settle in here the deeper we get into Big 12 play.
All right, Jordan, where are you going to be at this Saturday?
I will be in Tempe, ASU against Kansas, and we'll also have reps down. I'm not sure exactly who's going to be down in Tucson for that Texas Tech game. But, yeah, we are in the full swing of college football right now, so it's been really fun kind of mapping out the season and, going to a lot of cool different places here as we navigate Big 12 Conference.
Sports360az.com. They do a lot of great stuff with Jordan and Brad Sesmat and all the folks up there. Be sure to check out all of their work. Complete football coverage straight down to high school stuff here in the state of Arizona. Jordan, we always look forward to the opportunity to talk to you, and we will do so again later in the season.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, DK.
Jordan Ham from Sports 360 AZ. Much more straight ahead. Cricket now, though, getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. With a collision from earlier, Houghton near Speedway on Houghton to the north of Speedway Boulevard. Also backups for both directions of traffic on I-10 eastbound and westbound I-10 slowdowns approaching the Ajo-Kino connection. 105 tomorrow, around 102 the rest of the week, and 104 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. Wish you could save on home insurance? With Allstate, you could easily save and get quality protection. Yep, it's a win-win. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-8695. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-8695. That's 800-575-8695.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
For 100 years, O'Reilly Chevrolet has been part of the fabric of Tucson, just as our Chevy trucks are part of the fabric of America. With that in mind, we're proud to announce it's officially truck season. And this year we have Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, the all-new Chevy Colorado. Test drive your new Chevy truck on Broadway next to Park Place Mall. Call 747-8000 or check out our entire lineup at O'Reilly.com. Don't miss truck season, going on now at O'Reilly Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
O'Reilly Chevrolet.
Most tax pros leave a message.
It's Jane. I'm moving on to a TurboTax expert who beat your price. Adam Devine, tell him how I feel.
Hey, tax pro, she's been thinking twice. Best believe TurboTax will beat your price. This is a tax break.
Switch to a TurboTax Live expert and we'll beat what you paid your pro last tax season. Make the switch at TurboTax.com/beatyourprice. TurboTax full service only. Sign up by 12/20/2024 and file by 4/1/2025. Full details at TurboTax.com/beatyourprice.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first time Nana moments.
Yeah, welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
There are many reasons you might need Dorado Rockin' Materials. A few bare spots in the yard, the driveway needs filling in, or it could be that the yard needs a whole makeover. Whatever the reason, if your yard has the summertime blues, Dorado Rockin' Materials has everything from sand to boulders and every rock and pebble in between. If you need help spreading it, we have options for that too. Call 400-4233. Dorado Rockin' Materials. The right service, the right product, the right price.
NFL Sunday Night Football plays here.
Stroud will line up, takes the snap, drops down to his left knee. That's it.
Here, U of A grad and former Wildcats Radio 1290 host Ryan Radke with the call every Sunday night.
Stroud gets the snap. He's back to pass. Blitz coming. Gets picked up. Throws down the middle. Collins has it. Inside the 10. Inside the 5. Collins in the end zone. Touchdown, Texans.
We are Tucson's home for the National Football League. Wildcats Radio 1290.
This is Zach Gelb with Sports Minute, sponsored by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Please gamble responsibly. We all know Robert Saleh and Nathaniel Hackett aren't the right guys for the job, but the blame doesn't end there, and the Jets players can't get a pass. How does Aaron Rodgers only score 9 points at home? How does Breece Hall only run for 4 yards? So much for this great Jets defense is how don't you sack Bo Nix at least one time? I have an answer for all those questions, and it's simply just because it's the same old Jets. I'm Zach Gelb.
Arizona football fans, picture this. You bet on your favorite player to score the first touchdown, and he throws an awesome block so his teammate can score instead. If this happens, BetMGM wants to give you another chance at the end zone. With BetMGM's second chance promotion, you'll get your stake back if your first touchdown scorer scores second instead. That's right. Bet on any pro football player to score the first touchdown of the game. If you're right, you win. If your player scores second, you get your stake back in cash. Everyone knows the most exciting part of football is the score. With BetMGM's second chance promotion, you have a chance to keep the fun going after the first player crosses the goal line. Place a first touchdown scorer wager today. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. Must be 21 years of age or older to wager. Arizona only. Existing customer offer. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards vary. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290.
520-848-1290. 520-848-1290 is the number to get in on the program. Final stages of the program, but we've got you for an extra 5 minutes as we do on Mondays. We'll take you right up to 6 o'clock and the Brent Brennan Radio Show out at the Union Public House, which gets going around 6:05. The coach and Brian Jeffries, so you can hear all of the rehash of a 23-10 win by the Wildcats over the Utah Utes and getting set for the first Big 12 game in U of A history. Big 12 home game against Texas Tech coming up this Saturday night with kickoff at 8 o'clock. We'll be on the Mall for our coverage, which will begin at 3:30. So my birthday on the Mall at 3:30, starting on Saturday, 3:30 to 6:30 with network coverage at 6:30. Now, the good news is we have a game time on the game next week. After this home game, the Wildcats will travel to Provo, Utah for a game against BYU. And that game, it was announced today, will start at 4 p.m. So an early game, or earlier at least, for all of you folks out there that complain about all the night starts. This will be the early or the mid-slotted game, because I would imagine there's a game earlier than that, the mid-afternoon West Coast slotted game on Fox National. So the Wildcats will be on national TV once again next Saturday, 4 p.m., in Provo against BYU. So that means that our coverage that day will start around 11:30 a.m. in the morning for the Meridian Wealth Management Arizona game day, and we'll be out at Corbett's on the 11th, the 12th of October for that. So you can join us back out
One
at
benefit
Corbett.
of Provo play is the early bedtime for LDS members.
Right.
Generally, there can't be like a game that ends at 1 a.m. in Provo. Come on.
No, not at all. You got to get to bed, and then everybody takes the day off or to worship on Sunday, right? So there's absolutely nothing happening.
That's really what I meant, because they can't play on Sunday, so they have to have an early game. Yeah.
Now, don't forget, this Friday though will be the first real Bear Down Friday of this season. We'll be out at Illegal Pete's on University this Friday from 3 to 6 as we get you ready for the Wildcats and Texas Tech Saturday night at Arizona Stadium. There will be us. There will be a parade and a pep rally this Friday night. In fact, there'll be a parade and pep rally for all of the games in the month of October. And I believe we have 3 home games. We have this week, then there's homecoming, which will be the next home game after we return from BYU. So that'll be the 19th, will be homecoming. And then there'll be a game on the 25th as well. So there's 3. That will be the Friday night game, I believe, is the game on the 25th. That's coming. Actually, no, I'm sorry. That'll be a Saturday game. The other Friday game's not until November at home. So we've got 3 Bear Down Fridays with an actual pep rally in the band and all of that coming up for you this month. The first one will be this Friday night, October the 4th. So we've got the pep rally happening, and then you can go right on over, get quickly over to McHale Center, because we've got Red Blue coming up that night as well. And so, in fact, they might. I don't know if they're going to move this up. I haven't heard anything that they might, because Red Blue is scheduled to start, I think, around 6, if I'm not mistaken, on Friday. So I don't know if they would maybe move up the pep rally a little bit to allow plenty of time for people to make the walk over to
traditionally, like
McHale
the
Center.
band starts walking around at like 5:30. It's pretty late.
Yeah,
in the show,
they don't.
so.
Yeah, the pep rally generally does not start till 6. So we'll double check on that this week and see if there's a new time on that for you as well. But a lot of fun stuff coming up this weekend with the home game, the Red Blue game, big party after the Red Blue game. Tell you a little bit about that as well. Post Move, it's called, is the only after party for the Arizona basketball Red Blue game. That's going to be Friday at Gentle Ben's, benefiting Arizona men's basketball. Created and produced by Dusk Music Festival. That's got to be coming up, I'd imagine. It's usually in October. The all-ages event going to be hosted by former U of A legend and 3-time NBA All-Star Gilbert Arenas, with performances by DJ Z-Trip, Mixmaster Mike of the Beastie Boys, and Trackstar, the DJ. Plus opportunities to meet current and former U of A basketball players and coaches, Pop-A-Shot contest versus players, an Arizona memorabilia silent auction, much more. All net proceeds from this event will go directly to support Arizona men's basketball. You can find more info and tickets at ArizonaPostMove.com. That's the Post Move after party after the Red Blue game at Gentle Ben's coming up this weekend. Gilbert Arenas is hosting. We got to get Gilbert on the show. I don't think we ever had Gilbert on the show. I'd be interested to hear from Gilbert and about his time here at the University.
We may need a longer dump button if we're going to do that.
Yeah, there's that, but there's also I'm with you, DK. I do want us to be able to see if we can find a way to get Gilbert on the show, mostly because there's actually a question I have for him that I don't know if he would remember, if he has the answer or not.
All right.
But I just want to ask him if he still remembers the butt whooping me and my dad gave him and his lady friend at the time at golf and stuff on NBA Jam.
Okay.
Back when I was a kid.
Once a competitor, always a competitor. So if you're going to bring that kind of trash talk, he's going to bring it right back at you.
He's going to get real mad at me for that, because he just remembers that I was just pushing. I was using the push button on that game, stealing the ball all day. It was a lopsided affair, but that's only because I don't know if his lady friend at the time, that she knew what she was doing playing the game.
Well, there you go. Great stuff there.
It's funny you say that, because
Dragon Ball's kid stories of interacting.
I must have spent
Gilbert.
$100+ on Golden Tee at Ben's, because they originally put it upstairs when they first rebuilt Ben's in the mid '90s, and it because that was where the Marriott is now, is where Ben's used to be. So they tore the old Ben's down and built the new Ben's. And as soon as Golden Tee was available, Ben's had it upstairs, and my buddy and I were up there pretty much every day.
Mm. All right, let's give you your Desert Diamond Casino replay for today.
And now, the best thing you will hear all day.
Hachi-machi!
It's time for the Wildcat Radio Replay. In case you missed this earlier in the day, we now bring you the best of 1290. It's made possible by Desert Diamond Sportsbook, Arizona's best bet.
Today was Suns Media Day up in the Valley. The Phoenix Suns meeting the media, getting set for their first season under Mike Budenholzer. And happy birthday, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant celebrated his 36th birthday yesterday, born September 29th, 1988, in Washington, D.C. And, of course, his hometown NFL Commanders were here for his birthday this year, and he was at the game. Let's hear from Kevin Durant on his birthday weekend.
Yeah, so we had a team get together yesterday, and Matt and Coach Bud threw me on the spot and made the rookies sing me happy birthday, along with some of the kids that were there too. So it was good to see everybody's family, and it was the start of a new season when you get everybody together like that.
And you caught a football game.
Yeah.
With Magic Johnson. There's not many secrets out there, man, right?
You can't beat that birthday. Your Commanders, who rarely come in town, on the same day.
Dang.
Get a great win. Got to hang out with Magic. Got to hang out with my teammates. Got a happy birthday. I can't beat that.
Wow, that's a good day.
It's a great day.
Great day.
Yeah. Do you have a relationship with Magic? Obviously, you guys have known each other, run across each other in circles, but sometimes it can be deeper.
Yeah, definitely. Last couple of years we got closer. Just from having mutual friends, having friends with the Commanders now, so we see each other more times than we used to, and we had dinners and talks before about some stuff. So that's the best thing about the league, man, the brotherhood and how much the older generation gives back to the younger generation. So guys are still doing it.
And I know this offseason you were able to take in a Commanders practice too. How was that?
Yeah, that was actually this week too. They stayed here. They came here early for the whole week, so they got to spend the weekend at ASU practicing. So I was able to go check them out. It's been a great week, man. I'm looking forward to the season. That's the real grind. That's the real. That's my real, love of the year. It's right around this time when the season starts.
And you kind of got an early birthday present, your 4th Olympic gold medal.
Yeah,
you became the all-time Olympic scoring leader. That experience in Paris, and again, you have to mention Book too, because we talked about Steve Kerr and his comments about him being the glue, and how do you sum that up at this point without writing an autobiography in a full chapter?
It was a great experience. You can't beat traveling around the world playing basketball with your teammate and some guys, a lot of guys that throughout the league, so. It was like we were on tour, man. It felt like the biggest music band in the world got together. Biggest music band of all time got together and played shows around the world and got to bond and hang out with one another and actually go win a gold medal. So it's one of those things I'm always remember. I'm always think about and reference when I'm talking about my time as an NBA player.
And nobody's going to forget you coming off the bench.
Yeah.
Coming off the injury and not missing. I mean, basically hitting every shot, and the reaction from your Olympic teammates. Yeah. Not to mention the reaction back here in the United States. I mean, what does it feel like now, thinking back or watching those highlights?
That was a cool part about Team USA, that everybody kind of had a moment there. Steph had that moment late, those 2 games. Bron had a moment throughout the whole thing. Book's whole. Changing the role and playing a different role and taking that in, and people appreciating that small detail of the game. You got the Ant Edwards, you got Anthony Davis. I feel like everybody had a game, and I think that first game was my moment to kind of put my stake in the ground as I'm a part of this team, because I wasn't there the first few weeks, and you didn't get to see me out with the group, so I think it was good entry point to let everybody know that I was there, so I was glad I was able to experience that.
And how much do you carry that with you too? I mean, just the best of the best playing together. You guys, Book was saying you guys are still on a text chain, talking, just fostering those relationships too. How has that been for you?
That's that's a special part about Team USA. It's the most brilliant minds of all time in the game of basketball there. from the coaches to the player to the front office executives, is the best of the best in the league there. So you just get stimulated on another level mentally as far as getting to know people with different backgrounds. Just learning more about what we're doing in this whole world, this ecosystem. So it was fun being a part of that. That's the elites of the elites, and I'm always grateful to be a part of that situation.
Can I ask him now?
Sure.
My sleeper question. Who's the sleeper on the roster? Who's that one guy that maybe you can tell Suns fans keep an eye on him? We've had Bol, Mason Plumlee, and Book just went with Tyus Jones, which, I mean, he's the starting point guard, but I don't think everybody here in Phoenix maybe appreciates his skills, but maybe a youngster, maybe another guy.
I'm going to go Ryan Dunn. I think
Ryan Dunn. I like it. We've had a different answer every time.
And you worked out with him this offseason,
got to play with him the last couple of weeks. I feel like he's going to he really wants to be great. I feel like he is trying to download as much information as he can about the NBA lifestyle, the game, and how he can become a great player. And, he's starting off as a utility guy. Somebody has to come in and play a role and understand that he has to help the team first. And so those guys usually develop pretty fast and once they get thrown in the fire. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do.
Best piece of advice you've given him so far?
Celebrate every small win. Because you play a lot of games. You want to have a long career, but you can easily take a lot of this stuff for granted. So, every win is important, and every loss should be a lesson as well.
That was the Wildcat Radio Replay with the best of the best from 1290. It's brought to you by Desert Diamond Sportsbook, Arizona's best bet.
All right, Suns Media Day. Hearing from Kevin Durant there a little bit on his Olympic experience this past year. He likes Ryan Dunn, the rookie, so far through the initial stages of workouts as the Suns start to ramp up. Devin Booker obviously always talked as well today. We'll hear from Devin coming up a little bit later in the week as it is Sun season, guys. Sun season is here, and it is a team that, again, will have a lot of expectations on it with Mike Budenholzer coming in here, the Arizona native from up at Holbrook, and a guy that who jokingly heard from Devin Booker today. Devin saying, "You owe me a championship."
Yeah, I think what he said was, he said, "What was your conversation like when you first talked to Coach Bud?" And he said, D Book said, "You owe me a championship," because obviously Budenholzer was the coach of the Bucks when the Suns lost in the final.
I'm glad Book said it because I was going to say the same thing. I was like, "Hey, Bud, it's great to have you. Win us one now, why don't you?"
Yeah, that's gonna be it's gonna be fun to watch. One of the more respected coaches in the game of the NBA, obviously, and now leading this Suns program, and a lot of talent again back with this big three of Kevin Durant, who I mentioned turned 36 years old. Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. So we'll see with this, some of the young guys that they brought in, if this is a team that can make a push. But like, J-Dub has continually said, this is not an easy West to navigate anymore.
Tyus will make a big difference. They got a point guard, guys, who averaged 7+ assists his whole career. So that'll make a big difference. While we're just tipping our toe in the NBA, we have to talk about the big story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Knicks.
There was a trade, yeah.
Well, so the Knicks brought in all the Villanova Wildcats, former players, to be teammates. And before they could ever play a single game together, Dante DiVincenzo got traded for Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, you know what? Okay, I've thought about this for a while. I understand the necessity because you're still sitting with some concerns of Mitchell Robinson's health as the only real starting
I don't
center.
think Time Lord has ever been healthy.
Yeah, no, never really been. But just Mitch Robinson right now with the foot injury coming into it, which, again, he had this going back to last year. He had a knee injury before that and everything else like that. I get that you need some interior defense and presence with another center. I don't know if Karl Anthony Towns is the guy to provide. And I don't try to say that as begrudging as it sounds. The guy just doesn't play well underneath the basket.
Well, that's the point.
He's more of a behind the three-point line power forward now.
It only worked in Minnesota because Rudy Gobert is planted under the rim at all times. So Cat shooting his 30-footers makes sense. But when you talk about that Knicks offense, what they really need, as you just said, is a guy who can get down there and bang. and Cat likes to spend his time away from the basket. On the other side of the coin, what Minnesota's getting is a guy who's going to clog the paint up with Gobert already in there for the most part, because Randall likes to do a lot of his damage from the elbow and from mid-post. So it'll be interesting to see how both those teams wind up as a result of this trade.
And not just that from the elbow, but Julius Randle is a guy that for some reason in the latter part of his career here loves to imagine himself as a ball handler when that is not his position. He should be a grab and go guy. He tries to set guys up for an AM1 mixtape, and I'm sorry, my man, you just don't have the handles required for that. He's not a Carmelo Anthony. He's more of a traditional Larry Johnson, get the pass in that little side pocket and go to the rim. But that's not how he wants to play.
Lastly, I'll tell you the reason that Minnesota made this trade is quite simple. They have Naz Reid. And Naz Reid is coming and basically does a lot of the same things that Karl Anthony Towns does, was the sixth man of the year. Naz Reid is the best three-point shooting 7-footer in the NBA right now, so I think they're going to be just fine.
Oh, yeah.
All right, real quick, I heard this conversation on the national show. I think it was Dave Shepard over the weekend. He says Derrick Rose is a Hall of Famer. I don't know about that.
I think if you take him pre-injury and then extend that out another 10 years, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think post-injury, he only played he had some shortened seasons. He may have, I know Russell Westbrook exists. I saw a lot of Russell Westbrook. D Rose, number one, had the best high school mixtape of all time. Fight me. Mm-hmm. He did. He just had the best high school mixtape ever. Number two, that MVP year in that stretch with the Bulls. What was he, 22 when he won that MVP? You talk about explosiveness. You talk about ball handling. His outside shot came later. I don't think that right now, today, that Derrick Rose is a Hall of Famer. And it's only due to the longevity of his career, obviously shortened by that injury.
I go again, and I think just having to put it up against my criteria for the NFL, where I say minimum 5 all-star teams, minimum 3-time All-Pro, and what he had only one first team, all NBA first team, and 3 all-star games. So from that standpoint, for me, he falls short of being in that conversation.
Well, just looking at it from the position of his statistics compared to other players, let's be brutally honest here. He finished with less points than Harrison Barnes right now, who's still playing in the league.
Yeah.
And against another guy that a lot of people actually felt pretty much the same way they felt about Derrick Rose, Antoine Walker finished with more points than Derrick Rose did.
D Rose is definitely in the first ballot Hall of highest peaks in NBA history.
He's the Hall of very good, but not Hall of Fame, if that makes any comparable difference.
Robbed by injuries. That's usually what happens with a lot of great players. They just can't stay healthy enough and on the floor to create that type of longevity that we're saying. That's why it's so impressive what a guy like Pete Rose, who played the game so hard. We watched a video of him literally slamming himself on the ground to get a triple. How he played so many seasons of 155 games is incredible. All right, that's going to wrap up our show for today. Thanks to Lydia Rose for joining us from Cross Country, U of A Cross Country. Thanks to Jordan Ham, Sports 360 AZ. Brent Brennan Show is coming up next, so stay tuned for that. For all the folks that helped be a part of this broadcast, Audio Bob, Brasilia Magua, Dragon Ball, and Cricket, and J-Dub. My name is David Kelly. That's our time for tonight. Thank you very much for your time. We'll talk to you tomorrow, 3 o'clock, DK on the Sports Tip. Wildcats Radio, 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Backups on I-10 eastbound and westbound I-10 approaching the Ajo-Kino connection. Some slowdowns on your freeway ride due to an earlier collision. And a hit-and-run wreck at Oracle and First Avenue and Oracle. And Grant and Alvernon, a reported traffic hazard and road work. 105 tomorrow and 100 now. It's your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Their end-to-end solution helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all year round. Schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from your Indeed dashboard. Learn more by visiting Indeed.com/credit.
Work is busy, and home, pretty much the same. But you wouldn't know it because my skin doesn't look stressed thanks to Olay Retinol Body Wash. Its hydrating formula is packed with vitamin B3 complex plus retinol. I use Olay Retinol Body Wash to transform my skin from dry to moisturized and visibly renewed. Sure, I still have stress, but my skin looks amazing. Try Olay Retinol Body Wash for visibly renewed skin in just 14 days. Also try Retinol 24 Body Lotion.